All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Across Your Bow podcast, episode number 19. Joining me this week is, everybody know, the venerable Mejash. What's up, buddy? How you doing, man?
It's good, man. It's good. Another day in the life. It's cold up here in Michigan, though, man. It's freezing right now.
I
I am
know
layered upon layered right now.
it sounds like it. I mean, you can just hear the chill in Winston.
Well, let me know if
Looks
you
like
hear
he's
Winston
freezing.
snoring. I'll move him out. 'Cause he's like 4 feet behind me, just like ripping him right now.
He's having a good time there, right? Wonder what he's dreaming about.
Chilling, dude. I don't know, food.
What you been working on this week, bro?
Russian battleships, man.
Yeah,
Work in
yeah.
progress. So much work in progress. The not exciting anymore work in progress is Zuma, but just endless work in progress. Russian battleships.
It's been a
Da,
lot.
comrade.
There's been a lot of that. I know this week it's been kind of a short week for streams. We only streamed one night yesterday. The previous couple of days we were down in Houston in the USS Texas with the Wargaming meetup down there. That was a lot of fun. They had about 350 people or so, and ended up sounding it was a pretty good turnout. And I know
That's badass.
a lot of people, I think they said that they were expecting somewhere around 75 to 100 people. 500 people registered and 350 people actually showed up.
I think they feel like a lot of people. They even did that when we went out to Anaheim. It's just they didn't expect as many people to show up as they actually did. Like, there's a lot of people that play warships, and a lot of people that just kind of want to go do the meetups. And so,
Yeah.
I feel like I feel like they really underestimate kind of their community, but
Well,
maybe prepare for the worst.
we've seen it a couple of times with TwitchCons that you showed up or didn't show up to. We saw that especially in the Long Beach area, they did not expect as many people to show up, and then it bit them in the butt again the next year with San Jose with running out of tickets. So overestimate, under.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I don't know how they get it going there, but either way, into the news for what I've got this week for you. Just a few quick things. The Arsenal is being updated at 8.2. This is something that'll be fun for you people out there to mess around with. The Arsenal will receive a new functionality and a new name. It is no longer the Arsenal, as it will change into the Armory. We've also decided, according to your request, about 50 premium ships we will add to this. That'll be available for purchase for doubloons, as we remove some of the premium ships from the tech tree to focus around researchable ships only. Moreover, purchasing premium ships is more comfortable in the Armory due to the filters. Later, we're planning to extend the selections so that you always have an extensive selection of ships to purchase for your doubloons. What do you think?
I think it's good. I mean, it might as well just have it all in game. You know, I don't know if you buy a ship, does it come with a slot? Remember, you used to buy them in like in the tech tree. It never came with a slot.
Yeah,
I don't know if they do anymore. Sadly, I have all the ships.
I know if you buy them in the store, they come with a slot generally, unless they
Yeah, with tech tree they
specifically
did.
say, yeah. I know I bought the Sims out of the tech tree and it did not, but that was ages ago.
Yeah, it was a long
Ages
time
ago.
ago. But no, I mean, I think it's good. I think they want to kind of get a hub in game in the now called, well, I guess will soon be called Arsenal or Armory. I mean, it's just good to have all that stuff. It seems like they really want to simplify a lot of the stuff, all through other resources that can all be managed in one area, through all like doubloons all being in one area. So it gets the tech tree away from kind of getting cluttered, I guess, with stuff that's not part of tech trees. So just a one-stop shop for kind of everything. So maybe we'll see coupons for those ships. Who knows? That might be a cool idea. But no, I think it's good, and it'll keep more ships on the rotation for sale. So everyone needs most people. I don't even know. I guess whoever we need the balloon dumps in this game, so that might be cool to keep a lot more games.
People
sale.
are doing it. People are saying that you're a little loud here. Let me turn you down here real quick.
Roger.
If I can figure out how to do that from here. All right, say something for me, man.
I'm saying something for you. Am I still too loud?
No, it's fine. It's on my end. I had you up to 100%.
All right.
I had to turn you down a little bit. No big deal. All right, moving on. Moving on. The next piece of news. We're going to call new maps. You know
damn
what?
time.
You know what? We'll wait on that because that's a whole nother segment of this. But anyway, hotfix 8.11 just came off of NDA yesterday, I believe. And this is a pretty important hotfix for you CV players out there and for you non-CV players in both. If you guys want to see what we're looking at, man, I will, for you guys over on the YouTube channel, we will leave it in the comment section below or the description below, and for you guys here in the actual chat, twitch.tv/servermyk, you guys can get that live right there. So here it is. For all classes of ships except for destroyers, visibility from the air now cannot be less than the range of ships' air defenses. Fantastic. That's great, because I know I hate getting half of my plane shot down before I even see who's shooting at me. Well, if that actually happens, I don't know, does that happen to you a lot?
I haven't played a lot. I think like there's only a few ships that can. Remember back in the day, a lot of like the
Minotaur.
What the Atlanta could do it, the Minotaur could do it. I think the big one is the Minotaur right now. It was still blind firing some shells even with the lowered AA range. I haven't played a lot of high tier CVs yet, so. I think it's just really the Minotaur these days that's really causing a lot of the problems.
The reason for this is continuing on with the article here. It says this will prevent cases where squadron comes within a range of ships with its air defenses switched off with the P key, after which the ship will activate its anti-aircraft weapons, causes serious and sudden damages to the aircraft. After this change, a squadron will detect the ship at the same time or before if it's within range of air defenses, regardless of the ship it has its air defenses activated or not. Changes will affect ships such as Worcester, or the Worcester, Minotaur, Cleveland, Atlanta, Flint, and others. The interaction of destroyers with aircraft will remain the same level, and the tactics of disabling air defense weapons with the P key will also be irrelevant for this class. I've never. It's kind of a catch-22 here. If you turn it on, then you're spotted, and they have the ability to drop at you, and people shoot at you. If you turn it off and then they find you, then you don't have enough time to actually do any damage to the airplanes as they're coming into you to try to dodge, and all you're left with is dodge and barely any AA damage. Does this make a difference for destroyers?
There's just like so many things. It's like it's so fluid. Like the CV rework is so fluid right now. So many of the changes, like we're gonna have to see. You know, what we read on what we read on paper and what we see on paper. Okay, like is a Worcester still gonna shred as many planes as it was in the past? Is the Minotaur still gonna shred as many planes? Is the DD gonna be able to still shoot down? For that, it's just like, let's just kind of wait and see how it plays out, which a lot of the CV rework has kind of ended up being. It's like, okay, we see all these changes, but we won't really know what it's like. It sounds cool, it sounds weird, it sounds bad, whatever it is for the topic. We're just going to have to kind of play and see how it is for playing from the DD's point of view, at least.
Be reserved on your judgment here, as it is not the end of the world, no matter what happens. And I think this is actually a good change. If it goes off the way that they have planned here, it'll end up being a pretty decent change overall.
Yeah, I think so too.
One more thing. There's a lot more on this hotfix, but these are the ones that I wanted to talk about. The last little piece of news here is improved accuracy of the bombers and stock aircraft on the carrier Furious and attack aircraft on the carrier Indomitable. The accuracy of these squadrons has remained unchanged after having the number of aircraft in their attack flights altered. As a result, since there are a few bombers being dropped, the higher accuracy was required. And I know the Furious used to have the ability to fly 2 planes in on the attack run. And with the Furious and the UK carriers, you're dropping a lot of really small bombs. I think
the carpet bombs.
Yeah, the 250-pound carpet bombs, and then it changed it to 1, and it became very difficult to see a decent amount of damage on this boat, and so now they're making it to where you're a little bit more accurate with 1 plane coming in. So that's fair enough.
Yeah.
That's all the news that's all the important news that I thought was worthy of coming onto the cast. Is there any news out there that you saw this week that you'd want to address?
I'm just excited for space battles, man. I'm excited for new game modes, new testing. It's like a whole test bed for game modes, but that's not going to be till 8.2 or whatever. So we're still a ways out for that.
Still quite a ways for that. At least another month at least for 8.1 to saturate. And I tell you what, I have seen the good news is that Reddit is kind of slowing down on the hate. I think that's if you could call that slowing down. as opposed to 100% of it. It's only about 98% of the posts that are terrible, but it's slowing
I
down.
just think it's like the hype, you know, if it's just the hype of something new. So everyone was checking something out. Of course, it's going to balance out. You know, the sky was falling, the game was over, no one was playing the game anymore, right? Everyone quit, and then which it was a big change to the game. And then, of course, the hype is broken down. People are playing them every once in a while, kind of like they used to. The numbers are still way up compared to what they used to, so it's a win for wargaming. And now it's balancing out, so it's a win for the player base. And player base is the numbers, at least for NA, I think even on EU and other servers, is back up to where it was post rework. So, uh, I mean, the hype of something new. If there's ever something new in this game, like even a new line, a new battleship line, new destroyer line, it's always like the line everyone's playing. Now a new CV rework is out, so people are checking that out, learning the class, playing the class, liking the class, and now we have an entire thing even based around the Royal Navy CVs. So people are getting those CVs to play those. Yeah, it's dying down. You're not getting those two, I never saw one, but 3 CV games anymore because people have checked them out. They like them. They're playing a little bit more, so they're more consistent, but the hate isn't there because they've balanced them down, and they're not in every game anymore. I think it's probably like 50-50 even.
I'm at to think to actually paying attention to this post and then playing last night. I think I saw a few tier 8 and tier 10 games together, just one or two of those, and the rest of the time it was just single CV until you get down into the lower tiers where I've seen a majority, or in fact all of the 3 CV games that I have seen have been in tier 4. Because
well, I mean,
so many of them.
that's kind of to be expected, right? That's where everyone's checking them out. You know, even back before the rework, that's where you saw the most double CV games. Even back then, you'd see them in tier 4, 5, and 6, because then after 6, it really just died off. I don't know what the numbers are, but I bet you a lot of people stopped playing at 6 and up, just because that's when all the manual stuff, and that's when people started getting their nuts kicked in by people who were just better than them.
I know. I mean, the differences between a player of 45% to 50% and then 50 to 60 was so different, especially in the old system. And I know I could handle tier 6 fine. I could manual do all this other stuff, man, but when I hit the tier 7, man, I just got pooped on, just constantly.
I mean, I'm the same way. If I ever got to a situation where it was at 6 squads, I didn't have a micro for it. I didn't really care enough to play it, didn't care enough to learn it. So, but I mean, it's to be expected, right? That's when everyone's checking out the low tiers. So that's where everyone should be. That's where all CVs. I still haven't all the games. I never saw a 3 CV match ever.
Yeah, I know. I was part of the 3 CV matches, going through playing on the Hermes, and then
how many did you see?
Probably about 7 or 8 out of.
You saw? I haven't seen. I didn't see one. I didn't see a
7
single
or 8
3
of them.
CV match.
And it was all.
Jeez.
It was all in the lower tiers, though. I mean, it was like tier 5, tier 6, and we were trying to pick up some of these fly strike win things. Testing out the Exeter and the Yahagi. And
did you see one recently?
I haven't seen one. It's been about a week or so since I've seen one.
Mm-hmm.
It's before the 0.3. I think at the 8.0.2 hotfix. I think that was the last time I saw one. So it's been a good couple of weeks.
I still feel like low tiers, tier 4. I feel like that'll be pretty consistent for being double CV for a long time. Probably 1 CV will be relatively rare. 6s, double CV probably pretty consistent still. 1 CV won't be rare, and then probably 8 and 10. 8 and 10, maybe you start seeing double CVs still, but more on the rare side, probably 1, and then 10, it's probably 50-50 if you continue to see CVs at tier 10. But we'll see how it goes.
We played a few games last night, a handful of them at the higher tiers, 9s and 10s, and people are doing challenges or whatever, testing out, or actually trying to get involved with this Alaska, which I find it pretty damn good. For what it is, it's not overpowered, it's not weak. I mean, it's not like something like the Stalingrad came out and people threw a big old fit over the Stalingrad and realized that Stalingrad's strong, but it's not ridiculous.
I think the last is solid. Yeah. It's good because you can get it for free too. I mean, quote unquote free, just by getting a free XP. But it's a ship that had a lot of hype. I think it didn't quite deliver on the hype. What a lot of people wanted it to be. I think a lot of people wanted to be a tad tankier. And it's definitely going to be a ship that's going to take a while to learn how to play. It has a specific play style. But no, I think any free XP ship is amazing, though. Definitely worth picking up if you play enough to get it.
Fair enough. All right, guys, that is all the news and a little bit of comment there. Guys, we're hanging out with my man, Mejash. You guys can catch him over at twitch.tv/Mejash or hit him up over on his Twitter at MejashTV. You guys can,
buddy.
Here, we're going to go into our Q&A session here, ready to get a little bit of average. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns about anything that we talked about tonight, or have any specific questions for Mejash or myself, type it in there at ServantOfMyK, and I will copy pasta those over, and we will address those toward the end of the show, so we can keep the flow going. All right, Dash, are you ready?
I'm ready, bud.
Are you ready to get a little bit more average, my friend?
Of course, always.
All right, let's go in. Let's go into our 9 questions of averageness. Number 1, how in the world did you find World of Warships?
I'm the weirdo, right? So I found World of Warships before World of Tanks. A lot of people found warships from tanks. I was the kind of natural. I didn't even know I never played any style of this. I was a big MMO player, World of Warcraft. Diablo, obviously you played a lot of Diablo. It was me more Diablo 2. And then I was playing a lot of Destiny, and I used to watch a lot of Lyric back in the day. And then Lyric, I think, did a sponsored stream back when it was closed beta. And I signed up for the closed beta, and the next day you're like, oh, I didn't get in, I'll just buy in. So I bought like the Sims Yubari Grimyashi set for like $50. And then after that, started playing it, really enjoyed it, and then started streaming kind of a little after that. So that's how I found it. Lyric, Sacriel, those guys back in the day.
Sacriel, man.
Yeah, right.
I love that guy. I got his pin somewhere at one of the Twitch guys.
So the sponsored content does work, because then I bought into it, and now look at it. It's been almost 4 years or whatever.
It's been 4 years. There you go. So you find it through Sacriel, you find it through Lyric, you find it through these sponsored streamers. What made you decide to go ahead and jump from just being a player to go ahead and try to be a personality and jump on and start streaming?
I went to college, communications with emphasis on broadcasting. So I always wanted to do radio. So I was just like, it was one of those days my brother just told me to just do it, because we would watch Twitch together. I was playing Warships. I had done podcasting in the past, done a student radio in the past, and he's just like, just start doing it. Might as well. So bought a $50 mic, plugged it in the USB, and then turned on the OBS, and we were good to go. I remember back in the day, it was just single monitor. I was reading chat off the either off my iPad or my iPhone. I forgot what it was, and then just started playing it, and then grew from there. Man, it was just someone kicked my ass and said just try it out. So then I did, and I was like, try it out, and then we're good to go. And here we are. It's flown by, man.
It's been an amazing ride, man. It's been an amazing ride. Let me tell you, I started up. I was talking to my boy Shadow Sands, the mod in the channel. I was like, man, I'm really thinking about doing this. I think we'd come up with some decent content to maybe make some people laugh every once in a while. And he was like, all right, cool. You got it. You're gonna do it. And I was like, man, I was on a laptop, a Dell Inspiron laptop,
Yep.
but I still have that thing sitting right up there.
It's a trophy, man.
Yeah, and I was like, man, I can't do it. It just won't stream. And so Christmas time, about a month later, he shows up with a computer and he says, "Start up your damn show." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
That's badass.
Hell yeah, it was awesome, man. And it's 5 years this month, and 1 year of being a partner.
Yeah, you've been streaming longer than me, man.
It's been a long time. It took 4 years to actually find some traction, or at least. I know I played Diablo. I started out playing Diablo 3 on the show, and then we merged into Path of Exile, and went back to Diablo, and then just all of a sudden I was like, I want to play this. I couldn't get into the closed beta, and I didn't have the money to buy into it, so I was just like, forget it. So whenever it went open beta, I guess I was able to actually get into it. So
yeah, you've been in 2 or 3 years now.
2.5 years. I know June will be 3 years is when I've I've actually.
Yeah, so you started with D3.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Diablo 3.
The original one, or did you start with like Relic Warriors?
No, the original. This is before Auction House went down. This is before Loot 2.0, when it was actually halfway decent and very difficult to play. Now most of what you got now is pretty much all handed to you, but it's a very casual game now. It's not as serious.
You play like the season for a couple weeks and you're kind of good.
It's not as serious as it used to be. Well, what I
Yeah,
consider it, but
I remember watching Crip. They did like the first
Crip. I
hardcore.
remember watching that. I remember
Yeah,
watching somebody else. It was well, I guess it was Athene did the first naked bail or not bail run, but Diablo
yeah,
run
yeah.
on super hardcore. I remember watching all that
That
stuff.
was cool, man. Back
Yeah,
it was like hardcore. Kunjin was doing it a lot too. Yeah, a lot of the
doing those siege breaker and behind runs and all those fun, exciting things that we used to get up in
yep,
Diablo back in the day. Thank you.
good old days.
All right, moving on into number three. Question number three. Now, we've seen all your success. Your channel has grown like nuts over the past couple of months, and I think my channel's grown. A lot of other Twitch streamers have really, really grown over the last couple of months. But barring all the success that you've had, what if some of these setbacks? What is the biggest setback that you've been able to really overcome and that forced you to change the way you think about streaming?
The biggest setback is like is I guess it's kind of just like a tip almost, and it's just don't look at numbers. And a lot of people, I mean, that's like the biggest setback is like when you see your numbers dip, and then it just kills you, it kills your soul. You go from streaming to 100 viewers to streaming to 75, and you're like, it must be me. What's going on? You know, followers aren't there anymore, stuff like that. So you just get kind of in like this depression hole or something, and from there you just gotta turn all that shit off and just start streaming. Stream to like if you're used to streaming to 100 and you only have 75 people there, just stream as if the 100 people were still there. Just don't look at numbers. I guess any kind of setback streaming wise would just be like either a dip in subs, dip in viewership, and then it's nothing is just always up, right? You got to go through some kind of correction, and then if you keep at it and keep making content, keep making good content, it's always assuming you keep doing it, it should always go up instead of down, 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 down once you feel like you should do it. I don't think there's really ever been like a big. I've been pretty fortunate. I've never had like a big setback, but it's just a bunch of little ones. I think that comes with streaming, and it's just learning to get over those, just continue to grow, and be sure to just keep having fun.
I know. Being around for a long time, like we have, I've found that streaming and Twitch is a very roller coaster ride. You have a lot of really good highs, and then you hit some really kick in the nut lows.
Yep.
That you just have to keep streaming, and if you keep streaming like you were streaming when you're on that high, it'll come back around to you eventually. And it might take months. Cause I know we hit a really long lull there for a couple of months to where I just didn't really want to play the game anymore, and I took a month off to go play Star Trek, and that really kicked me in the nuts, and then I was like, okay, well, let's get back into it, and now we're back on that up curve, and that's always a good relief when you see where you could be to where you are now or where you were, and reevaluating how you work.
It will streaming as a thing. If you look at your day-to-day numbers, your day-to-day subs, your day-to-day metrics, it'll just fucking eat you alive. It will eat you alive, and you have to take out the day by day and just zoom out and just see like, okay, well, I may have lost X amount of viewers, X amount of subs like past couple days, but I'm up on the long run, Right. So it's just like the stock market, man. Everything has to go. It's not just a perfect up curve. You gotta have these little ups and downs, but you hope that in the end it's just a constant build over time. I think that's what you can see that a lot. You see that a lot in trends of and every time it seems like Christmas time, it's after that people get like it's always you always see it in waves. You can see it in Twitter with a lot of Twitch streamers. It's just waves and waves of waves that we all go through, and it's so relatable. But you just have to kind of kind of keep at it. You can't take those losses and take it too personally. It is what it is. You just gotta keep at it and stay positive.
It's something I've always told people that. To be an affiliate streamer, it doesn't take much. To be a partner streamer, it takes a lot more. And for those people out there that are aspiring to be a streamer or looking at trying to make partners, turn off your numbers. You can legit hide those numbers on your dashboard until you start seeing numbers of 60 or 70 average viewers, because that's when it really matters. Anything before that, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Once you start seeing, then you start looking at the trends. When are you streaming? Like I had to do when I was working for Partner. When is Mejash streaming? Okay, he's streaming at this time. Now I've got to go live somewhere close toward this time, and still be able to hit those average numbers. It was a mess, and I was a maniac in my head, and trying to get these things done to where I could hit the numbers that I needed to. He's right. Turn that shit off.
Turn that shit off.
That's all you got to do. Turn it off. All right.
Yeah.
So we've heard some of the setbacks. Now tell me something. At what point in time did it just click for you? Because I know it clicked for me when we found the School of Averages, when we founded that thing and laid that brick down there. That's when it clicked for me. When did it click for you that you knew that you were actually in the right direction and you were doing what you needed to do?
It's just when it clicked. Like I just did it for fun, Like I like talking on a microphone. I like playing video games. It clicked for me probably when I could go full time. I've been full time for almost 2 years. That's really when it clicked for me, and just when I knew that me as a person, I've always been a very cautious, not really a risk taker. I've always kind of gone for the guaranteed thing. And I still do that a lot in my life. So like this, being a full-time content creator is the biggest gamble I've ever made in my entire life. So when like clicking for me, it's just like for like literally the first time ever in my life, I was like, all right, let's just go for it. We made partnership. We were holding good numbers. We were holding steady numbers. And I was like, all right, fuck it. We're going for it. And I was like, let's just get it. That probably then getting partnered and then growing to a number that was feasible to go full time. That was probably right when it clicked. I was like, holy shit, this is real.
That's all. It's always inspiring to somebody to be able to step back from the rest of the world and be able to do it for yourself, and really put out very nice content and good content. Other than that, man, any other beautiful things that has happened to really secure your love for the stream?
Like just my stream in general.
Oh, just in general. I mean, streaming in general, your stream.
I think like one of the biggest things that's been like a lot of fun for my stream is just kind of letting go. Like I wouldn't consider myself extremely try hard, but I would consider myself pretty competitive. And probably in the like last 6 months is just getting away from like, there's so much in warships, right? That is just out of your hands, and just accepting that. And I think I had like an epiphany like 6-8 months ago, and I was just like, all right, there's only so much you can do. So many unwinnable games. Yeah, if you get a bunch of them, that sucks. But like, I was like, all right, let's just have a bit more of a chill approach to the game, a bit more of an educational approach to the game. And let's kind of sit back, have a bit more fun. And it's definitely helped a lot. Like always trying to win, like going out, balance div, stack div, going out there. If I'm not winning X amount, then I'm annoyed. Now it's just like, all right, I'm playing a lot more solo queue on the alt account. And so it's just been a lot more fun that way. So that was something that's been kind of nice for me, I guess, is just embracing that there's so much that's out of your hands. And especially when it comes to this fucking game, that I'm sorry, should I say frick?
Nah, you
don't know
I don't
want to ruin your YouTube monetization.
I'm not monetized on YouTube.
All right, fair. Okay. No, but like just embracing the potatoes that we all are, embracing the potatoes. So it's just like, let's go for it. Let's have some fun. Because if you really start to like min max and all right, my WTR is this for today, my win rate's this, I fall on 0.1%, blah blah blah. I mean, who the fuck cares? No one cares anymore. Just have some fun with the game, have a good stream, because if you're gonna be try hard and it's just putting way too much pressure on your shoulders, that just will make the shelf life of this game so short compared to what it could be.
I tend to agree with pretty much all of what you said there. I've never really had the overwhelmingly purple unicorn stats, but I've always had a good time. And I know
Yeah.
ranked season drives me nuts because I get that break. There's that one breakdown every season, and I saw it really bad in their T7 ranked season. That was a long time ago, and I said I'll never let myself get that way again. And then the next season came out, and I got exactly the same way. And other than ranked season, I think the random games, the normal everyday slog is a lot easier now than it was before while ranked season's going on and stuff. It just drives me nuts when I want to win and when people purposely do things to, or maybe they're just dumb and they don't know things. I don't know. They're just potatoes.
They're just having fun, Venom.
Just
that's
having
all.
fun,
That's
man.
all it
Yeah,
is.
that's
right.
right. That's
They're just
right.
having fun, and
What do I care? I'm just having fun. I'm here for the bonus experience, and I'm just like,
that's right, man.
But I've tried to calm down a lot over the last full on year here, and it's been a hard road because there's some days that we're absolutely dominating.
It builds up, man. It's there's only so much you can take of just you putting everything in still, even if you're not like, you're trying your best and you're having good games, and there's 11 other people that could just hit the W key and give 0. So you have no control over those 11, and it sucks to put you'll get like 150k Benson game, 4 kills, and your team gets smashed, and you got 4 of the 6 kills or whatever.
My God, man, we had a game.
You couldn't win that anyway. So, to my opinion, why stress about it anymore? But it does suck when it happens 4, 5, 6 times in a fucking row.
The ones that drive you nuts is if you've won a couple of games and then you have this game that you're just absolutely monstering, like Mejash is saying, and you look down, your man has 5 kills, you have 3 kills, and one of the other guys in your clan that wasn't really in a division but he was on your team has another kill. You've got 9 kills between 3 people and you lose. That drives me insane. But hey. It is part of the mock up in the community.
When it's you and 2 or 3 other people holding down 7, and you're trading good and you're getting some kills and you got that on one side, and you look to the other side and your team it's just
they're out on the 10.
What are they? They're not even clicking their mouse, man. They're not even clicking their mouse. They're just
doing anything. I mean,
quit having fun over there. Try a little bit.
We saw this last night. $5 mid run right here on Two Brothers, and we're going up there, and it's Alaska, and I think it was a Buffalo. Anyway, we're all in the middle, and there's 8 people coming at us, and we just kind of stopped around the corner and just waited for them to slowly push in, right? Well, they never pushed. So we go out there, and it's a tier 7 game, and then I look back, and I'm like, guys, y'all need to push up. There's 7 people here. There's openings for you guys to make the push. Well, they finally got it through their head to make a push. We went ahead and pushed. I ended up ramming a Nizenau, of all things, and getting that kill. We ended up killing 4 people out of that 8 before we all died, and took a big nasty chunk off of everything, and then they were just able to push in and finish the rest of the game. And it's just map awareness is just something that people just don't have, and that's until they do.
As long as they're having fun.
All right, moving on. And the question number 5 here. From you've been Twitch streamer to a partnered streamer to community contributor. What have you learned in your journey about the community? What has changed in the game community and in the streaming community since you've been around for a long time?
Well, as that's a tough one, actually. It's I guess it's not tough. It's just a lot going on. The streaming community.
Well, we'll just start let's just start with the gaming community. What has changed in the gaming community from when you started to the way it is now?
For just World Warships or just purely everything?
World Warships.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely grown, which has been good. It's been super consistent, super consistent. A lot of people like to say numbers are down or numbers are up or numbers this. World of Warships is an extremely consistent game for its player base, and it has a lot of things going for it. One of the downsides I feel with World of Warships though is that it continues to just cut its shelf life shorter and shorter, making it easier to get to tier 10s and stuff like that. Okay. I don't like that pattern, but potentially with the testing of some of these space battle game modes, we'll hopefully see more. I even talked to one of the devs from Wargame, and he said that they're not really interested in, or they're not really worried about like this. I don't know. He kind of worded it weird, but um, they're not really worried about people. They want people to get to tier 10, so hopefully that means that we'll see more content outside of just leveling. So this game has been all about getting, dropping a new line. That's the content, right? Play random battles to level up that line while doing some other stuff. So hopefully it gets away from the tech tree grind, because it's so much easier than getting to other stuff. But I think the rest of the community, though, I think is still pretty damn strong. It's cool to see a much healthier and bigger competitive scene. I think there's a lot of stuff going on. I think there's a lot more events. Wargaming's adding a lot more stuff. So I hope they start doing more conventions. I think that'd be really cool. But they are doing events. I don't know if they're doing as many events in EU, other Russia. I don't think they're doing as many as they have in like North America. But just building a strong community is good. And also the game, Wargaming themselves has been pretty open. I mean, a lot of people probably don't think this, but they've been pretty open on a lot of the stuff they've have done in this game compared to what they used to. Like they used to just drop updates and just drop information and going like, boom, here you go. This is what happened. And then they go, oh, okay, we didn't know that. So they kind of letting a lot of people know up front what's going to be happening, what's down the road too. I think that's been really, really good for Wargaming.
I think that's something that I know I've been guilty of saying, well, they don't tell us squat when we come out, and for people who aren't community contributors, they don't privy to some information out there. And since I've been a community contributor now for a month and a half, or almost 2 months now, I've seen a lot more information about what's coming down the pipeline that gives me hope, and that they're working on things that I found personally concerning about the game, and just kind of boosted me even more. Like, okay, we're going to keep playing this game instead of go find something else to do.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, that they don't have to tell us anything. They legit don't have to tell us squat. They don't have to have a community contributor program. They don't have to go to these conventions. They don't have to be involved with the community at all, but they choose to. And that's something that a lot of bigger gaming companies, they lose sight of the people that are actually, and I'm going to call out Blizzard for this. Blizzard does the same thing. And from my perspective, they've really just kind of ignored a lot of stuff, what's going on with the community. But wargaming is the complete opposite. We saw that at the Texas this weekend with Q&A sessions and people standing there, and people are very passionate about this game.
Oh yeah,
and they are extremely upset at Battleship AP versus Destroyers. That was brought up this weekend. Destroyers being overpowered, or that was brought up. The carriers being messed up. That was brought up. There was a lot of things that we've all said, we've all thought and felt before, and they actually sat there and they listened to every bit of it. So it's always nice.
Yeah, nice I've been a CC for a long time. Back when it was like Club Wargaming, it was really like an unofficial program, but like it was a program for like it was not like the best program. Now it's way more official. There's way more, like, you and I have way more contact to more people than we ever have in the past. Faster replies, all this kind of stuff. But compared to what even World of Warships and Wargaming did in the past, even in that program, like I used to have to get ships and information through people that worked for tanks because of how kind of unorganized it was in the past. So it's like day and night, I think, with how much information, data, a response, Q&A, stuff like that. It's day and night.
They've actually invested into this game, and you can feel it with the dedicated NA team, the dedicated EU team, the dedicated CIS team. These people actually care about the game, and we've seen it. You've seen it. Sub Octavian, very passionate about the game, and he loves trying to make it to where that whole balance. 30 different arms scale that they're trying to balance this and that and the other thing that comes into play. And I think
there's a lot of shit they got going on, but I think they do. I think they are much more open in World of Warships now, with even information and hearing feedback and all that kind of stuff, more than they really ever have. So it leaves you to be optimistic, especially from a content creator's point of view.
From my point of view, it's we're going the right direction at least. And for the streaming community, what's changed over the past couple of years?
Uh, Probably going back to like mentality, streaming community, the fucking ups and downs, dude. It is so gnarly being a streamer because I love it. If you have Amazon Prime, you have Twitch Prime. Twitch Prime, you can subscribe to the channel for the free. But Twitch Prime and like sub gifts, both amazing things.
Those things are huge.
Amazing things. But those, if you get a big sub bomb, I recently just got a couple of them.
I heard about this last
night.
night.
A month after that is such a all right. Month from this, boys, that's gonna be a drunk stream. That's gonna be a drinking stream right there, and it's gonna probably be a crying stream after that.
Yeah.
But probably that's changed. I think a lot. And I don't know. Twitch itself has gone through a kind of like a change. Sorry, go.
No. Go ahead. Finish.
I just think like I don't know. I feel like Twitch has gotten a little bit disconnected a tiny bit too. I am super lucky that my representative, whenever you get a partnership, you get a partnership representative. I don't know even like, do you really have one?
No, I don't have
one. So I got pretty lucky that I still have one. He works there. He's fantastic. So if I have any information or questions like that, I have like a direct contact. He's awesome. I hang out with him at TwitchCon. But I feel like it's definitely gotten more corporate. So Twitch itself, as a content creator too, I guess it's kind of nice because there's more ways to help us. There's help us, I guess, monetize our streams and whatnot. But there's a lot of things too that we just can't really control, I guess, for the streaming thing that's kind of out of our hands. I try to stay away from a lot of the stuff and just keep it the same way. But I guess just as a streaming as a whole, just a lot of the up and downs, the volatility when it comes to the Twitch side, and especially if you're full time. But one, it's just the streaming community for World of Warships has definitely grown, and I think that's awesome because I think our community for streamers is pretty badass. I don't think we really have any real bad eggs. I mean, people might not like certain people. I think it's more that, but I feel like we have a pretty solid core. I think there's something for everyone, and I think a lot of us, if we all got a beer together, I think we'd all sit down and have a good time. So, and that was one thing that was with Anaheim. I mean, we just all basically sat down, and even though I had never met any of these people, it was like I already knew them. So it's a really, really good streaming community. Kind of, it's like a family that we have here. So it's really cool. I mean, you'll never see this. You'll never see, like, if you had like all the streamers in World of Warships sit down and drink a beer, compare that to 15 Apex Legends streamers. It's just like probably not going to be the same relatability, the same kind of communication, the same kind of just like, almost a family orientation to it.
I think it goes even further than that. I mean, you see it at TwitchCon. You see it with the like-mindedness. We don't have to explain what Twitch is at TwitchCon. We don't have to explain what Warships is in that community because we already know. We already have some very similar experience. We all have some relatable issues and relatable fun times.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Whatever times. But, yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
All right, moving on to number 6 here. What would you say that makes you stand out as a streamer or a community contributor? Meaning, what makes you different than myself, or makes you different than somebody else, other than you have hair?
So I got my dad's hair, man. It's a little light on the top. So, but makes me stand out, and I don't fucking know. I started streaming a long time ago. Probably the thing that makes me stand out the most is I'm like the only person that still streams from when I started, and also my fucking dog is the only reason half my subs watch. So
give him a treat.
Probably that.
The chat here is saying give him a treat.
Dude, he is so passed out right now. The dog, the doors in the back, like that. The fancy Italian water. But makes me stand out. I don't fucking know, man. I think I have a good balance between somebody that's decent at the game and educational. But I think this doesn't really set us apart. But I think we're both decent at the game. I think we're both fairly educational about the game, and I think we're kind of chill at the same time. And but for me, I don't know. I'm like the only person for the NA side that's still around from when I started. So probably that. That's probably my biggest thing. I'm the only person still playing warships that started back in the day.
I know even from when I started, you were always there, and even though people like there's you and there's me and everybody else is gone.
Yeah.
Or they're, let's put it this way, they're not gone, but they're not as consistent as you are or that I am, and that I think that consistency sets both of us apart from everybody else.
Yeah, I mean,
schedule and stuff.
I always kind of reminisce about like there's definitely probably a couple of you guys that maybe I didn't know when they started, but NA wise, from when I started, I could name a person that still streams that really started on NA. So obviously, C server, Russian server. If there's somebody still doing that, I wouldn't know. Some of you guys, I wouldn't know. Right. But like still streaming consistently, I don't think I can name one person. So everybody else has moved on to other games, and I'm still in warships. Maybe it's on me.
Well, there you go. You were there, and you were there to pick up numbers when they abandoned it, or when they happen to leave. That's how I got really lucky. I got really lucky with my numbers, knowing that I was going up against Mejash and Dort and and Fem, and then Fem had her thing and she left. And,
how are numbers back in Diablo?
My numbers back in Diablo were, man, this is back when Datmods was playing. He had 7,000. I think Quinn69 was still playing there, and he had 10,000 people. When I first started streaming, that was probably a good 8 pages of streamers, and I was on.
Yeah, I was a big directory back then.
It was huge. Crip obviously had the biggest numbers while him and his dude were going through, but I know my numbers were compared to what they are now, but 40, 50 people. I think we averaged 1 month. I think we averaged 80 people once for the year that I streamed that.
That's still not bad though. I mean because I feel like that's the kind of game that. I mean, that's just like anything, and that's I guess we're kind of getting on to any tip. They're like our 8th question here, but
yeah. Well, let's go. Let's go ahead and move into number 7, and we'll come back to this when we hit number 8. Number 7, who influences you as a person to go to that next level? A person, an artist, a book, a movie, something that inspires you to really put out a good put out. I mean, that's a fun time, but.
That's for Patreon. That's for the Patreon.
That's for the Patreon. Right? That chatterbait crowd. To put out a little bit more of yourself on the show.
Like people that I'm trying to think, like people on Twitch. I don't know. Like I guess like the biggest person that just pushes me to go, and this is something that's just always been a person. It's probably just my dad. My dad has very successful business guy, manufacturing background, and he's always taught me to not put out like shit product. He doesn't put out shit product. That's why there's still a successful manufacturing company. So him, always, so you're gonna go out, you're gonna play in the Twitch tonight? And then I go, yeah. He goes, which all that kind of stuff. So he talks like an old man. But probably my dad would probably be the biggest thing. Because he's he's been my biggest fan, for everything, for life, for all sports, stuff like that. I mean, my dad, I played collegiate water polo. I played middle school, high school, and collegiate. My dad never missed a game ever. He missed one in college. I mean, this has been going to nationals out in Utah, California, summer camps. He'd go to all that shit. He missed one game in college my senior year, and I always give him shit about it. And
one game, Dad.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm gonna go ride my motorcycle. I was like, all right. It was just like a placement game. We're gonna win anyway. It was like early in the morning. He's like, is it okay if I miss? I'm like, yeah, sure. So we ended up stomping the team anyway. It didn't really matter, but I always give him shit about it. And So probably just as a person, probably my dad easily is probably that go-to. Um, Twitch side, I think a good person to like look up to as a streamer, honestly, is like something like a lot of person I got. I mean, not personally, but from a video is Tim the Tap Man. Tim the Tap Man made a fantastic video
That's a video
that
that
I watch.
I give to
Yeah,
people when they ask, man.
Tim the Tap Man made a fantastic video probably like 5 years ago
Yeah.
for it's like tips for new streamers, and this is when he was playing CS:GO to like 2-3 thousand, whatever his numbers were back then. Now, of course, he's huge. Also, really cool guy. I got to meet him for a little bit in the airport, but just down to earth, gave you good gave you good material, good ideas, good like rules to go by, and just turn off the numbers. Don't look at the numbers. Just stream as somebody's there. Always be talking, stuff like that. All the tips I ever give brand new streamers, it comes from Tim the Tap Man. Also the people from like Simcopter, Rand Hammer, all the guys and gals from the lounge, my stream team. They're also, you can always like if you have a question there, that's always awesome too. YouTube side, because I would consider Twitch side and YouTube side. Probably like Baron Von Games. I had a pretty in-depth talk about him a long time ago. Was it one of the PAX South, and he just kind of gave me some really good tips on YouTube, and so always kind of just go by that mentality for YouTube. So that's helped a lot. And but I don't know how to read, so I really have a book.
Oh,
And
it doesn't. That you don't have to go each one for individuals.
Yeah,
Just a in general statement there. Tim Tapman, absolutely fantastic. I got him to sign one of my hats up there. It's up on the wall there. It was pretty cool. Very down to earth kind of guy, and he's so knowledgeable about this and humble as hell. And that's something that I've taken away from that myself. Is just try to be humble as much as possible, because they don't have to watch you. They can go watch somebody else. And if you start getting this attitude, how much longer are you going to be around? That's my.
Oh yeah, and Winston.
Winston, of course, and Winston. All right. So, any tips to aspiring new streamer that wants to come in and start playing ships? Maybe they have another community and they want to bring them over to ships, or maybe they want to just start out playing ships.
Watch the Tim the Tap Man video. That's always my go-to. Tips. I think it's titled "Tips for New Streamers" or whatever it's called. You can seriously just look that up.
On my streaming rig, I have it bookmarked.
Yeah. It's an insanely good video. It's dated now, but tips for new streamers. Just start streaming. Like that's you. A lot of people will talk about streaming and like, oh well, I'm gonna do it. Why not just do it now? Just stream.
Just flip it.
Stream as much as you can if you want to try it. And if you can only stream an hour a day or an hour every 3 days, make it consistent. Don't stream from 2 to 4 this day and 8 to 10 tomorrow, and then
every
noon
third
to 1.
Tuesday of the month on the blue moon.
Just make it consistent, because people are going to watch you, and then make a schedule. Hey, Venom's going live at X time every night. I'm going to go do it. Be consistent on that time. That is something is huge. To be, I don't know, whatever we're on right now. Don't look at numbers. Numbers don't mean shit. And don't go into streams. Don't go into streams and advertise your own stream. But that should be
self-promotion is frowned upon in the community.
Yeah. Don't go into streaming thinking this is how I'm going to make a bunch of money. That is something I think a lot of people go into, and there are different steps of going into streaming. One, go into it, just have fun. I think a fantastic reason for people to stream is if they're playing games, they want to find people that are playing the same game to play with. That's a fantastic way to start streaming. And two, just have fun and always be talking. If one person's talking, don't call them out, especially if they're not talking, but just start asking questions to the invisible lurking chat. And if somebody talks, then you start a conversation. But always be going in and talking about your plays. That's one thing that helped me grow early, was talking about, okay, I'm going to go this way, and this is the reason why. And then, then somebody in chat pipes up, say, oh, cool, why did you do that? Or that kind of thing. Because if you go, how many times have you all gone into a stream, especially a small stream, and nothing's going on, and then you're just like, all right, this is boring, next stream. If you're going in and he's talking or she's talking, then you have a more reason to stay.
You have a very short amount of time to capture somebody's attention, especially in this world. Maybe a minute, if that.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard.
One of the biggest things too is just network, talk to people. Like I said, our community is pretty awesome. So it's a little different. You know, we have a smaller community on Twitch, especially, but we basically know everybody. So we host each other, we hang out with each other, we subscribe to each other. You know, we help support each other, we hang out with each other. You know, do all this whatever, play other games with each other. You know, I don't want to throw anybody big under the bus, but X person that's pulling 50,000 viewers, if you're pulling 25 viewers, as an example, and they're pulling 50K, and you host them, they might not even see that. They literally might not even see that alert. And people are going, oh, well, maybe Ninja will host me or Doc will host me, and you have a much better chance of building your community and growing it with similar size people in your community. You know, and going out of your game, build a community within the game that you really like to play. And you can also build friends, play with each other. And then that kind of leads into the next thing is not you. What's the right way of saying it? You aren't like, don't look at it as a competition, you know, like will Venom get one of my viewers or will whoever get one of my viewers? I need to get that viewer. That's my viewer, blah, blah, blah. No, I mean, we're all putting on good programs people want to watch. People need to stop thinking of like a viewer as a finite resource, and I think that kills a lot of people.
It also puts a lot of toxicity and animosity toward people that you don't even know.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's I'm not even going to go into that example, but it doesn't matter. We're all here together. If you look at the numbers, you look at my numbers, 51% of my people come from other places.
Oh yeah.
Come from other places. Mejash, we have people in common. 51% is Mejash, 38% is Dort, and you got all these other streamers that we all watch and we all interact with. So, I mean, there you go. Anyway, so and for a new player in World of Warships, what is your biggest tip for that person?
My biggest tip in World of Warships is watch twitch.tv/SirVenomIK. That's what I would do. And you get all ready to the average. I think watching videos is fantastic. I think watching streams is fantastic because watching videos, you have no. Oh, one thing. Hold on. Before we get into that, streamers, don't be afraid to play different games. Stick with one game to grow as a community, but don't be afraid to play other games. I think that's something. If you're trying to get to partnership, there's a whole thing called partnership grind that we all go through and we sell our soul to get. But don't be afraid to play different games. I just wanted to throw that in. But anyways, for new players, hanging out in streams, you can really get a lot. And it's you can't ask a YouTuber or a YouTube video saying, hey, why did you do that? It's hard to answer all the questions. It's delayed. It won't be as in depth. You lose a lot when it comes to text. If somebody says, hey, why did you load HE on that in your battleship? Or why did you shoot AP in your destroyer? Or why did you do this? Or why did you go there? You knew that person was there. You can break it down and actually really learn a lot while watching Twitch streams and, coming in and just asking questions. You will get over that learning curve a lot quicker by just being part of streams and asking people like that. But just one of the things I think a lot of people don't do is once they die, I think they just hit exit battle and go to the next one. And I think a lot of people don't break down what actually just happened in that game. I feel like a lot of people go, oh, I died. Okay, they win. Next. And instead of going, okay, why did I die? What could I have done? I always do that after my games. What could I have done to win? What could I have done better in that situation? And then next time you do that, and then you win the situation, and then you don't need to worry about it. So, just getting more information and breaking down what you did.
I totally agree. I know myself, Mejash, and Well, I'm not going to speak for Mejash. He can do it for himself. But I know for myself that I'm willing to help anybody. I'm willing to answer any questions that I know.
Yeah.
If I don't know the answers, the chat is 100% correct all of the time, according to them. so they know it all. The chat knows it all, and I can give you my mentality behind what decisions that I've made based on my experience, and we do it every night. I make a mistake. Okay, well, here, what happened? Okay, so I'm here. There's that guy over there. And when you start doing that, when you start analyzing and coming back with different opportunities, and you see this opportunity present itself again in the future, you already have a base of knowledge. There's something that, unfortunately, Mejash or myself, we cannot teach as experience. So you have to go through these downsides, and you have to be bad. And it's okay to be bad at this game. I'm willing to help. Mejash is willing to help. And anybody else, any other streamer worth their salt will be able to help you, or should be willing to help you if you're willing to listen.
Yeah, well, we can teach you how to do things, but we can't do it for you. So you're gonna have to go in. You're gonna be the one clicking the mouse, and we can help shorten that learning curve a lot. There's a lot going in this game. There's a lot going in World of Tanks. There's a lot going on with what you need to learn, but you can get a lot of knowledge a lot quicker by watching streams and YouTube videos. But in the end, you just gotta start playing it. How do I get better at this game? Just start playing. Just click battle, and you can learn from experience and hang out and chat and ask questions.
There you go. There's so many loaded questions out there. How to game. Those are the questions that absolutely drive me nuts because, well, okay, can you be a little bit more specific? If you ask those specific questions, man, it makes it a lot easier to form a response tailored to that particular experience.
The thing that always, I wouldn't say it bugs me, but the ones that are hard for me to answer is, how do you play the Ibuki? Well, okay, how are you playing the Ibuki, and why isn't it working for you? Let's kind of go back that way. Like, or hey, how can I do more how can I get more XP, or how can I do it? Well, it's easy. Just win more games, do more damage, and you'll get more XP. But it's like, okay, what are you seeing as the problem? Are you getting obliterated? Are you being too aggressive? Are you this? When people ask that, it's tough for me to answer that, so I just turn the question back on them.
Some of these things, man, I tend to give a pretty blanket statement when it comes to certain ships. Japanese are stealthy, long-range HE spammers, and if you do that, learn how to turn, and you'll be fine. But I kind of like your approach a little bit better because it gets a little bit more in-depth into the person's head of why.
I'll license it to you if you want.
All right, dude, we'll talk off stream.
Wonderful.
All right, guys, we're hanging out with my man Mejash, twitch.tv/Mejash. Go check him out at Mejash TV over there on the Twitter. You guys can ask him some questions. We do have a Q&A session coming up after our Russian battleship chit-chat that we're going to get into here in a little bit. So if you guys have any questions, at SirVenomIK right here in the channel, right here, our channel, twitch.tv/SirVenomIK. You guys can also hit me up on at Sir_Venom_IK over on the Twitter if you guys have any other things. If you guys are over on the YouTube channel, leave a question, comment, concern in the section below, and I will get back to it as soon as I possibly can. So, all right, there you go. Do you feel a little bit more average? That's 9 questions of Band-Aid, ripping it off. Questions. Did you enjoy them?
It was easy peasy, man. A lot of these I get asked kind of a lot, as a streamer, how did I find it? What got you into it? That kind of stuff. So these weren't that bad. When you said you sent me these questions, and I was just like, all right, I'm ready to go if you want to do it right now.
Yeah,
like the first day, like a month ago.
I saw that a bunch of them. I know the questions. Some people, there was a couple of them in there that are meant to have people actually think about the questions, but yeah, I think they're okay. All right, so moving on, guys, into our very first topic of the day: new maps. New maps. I'm all down for this, and I've got 3 maps for you guys that they are coming to bring out. Now, Josh, I linked you the map page. If you need it again, let me know. I will. It's over on the Facebook page. Facebook page, and for you guys over on YouTube, it will be in the description section below. And for you guys here on the Twitch channel, there it is. 3 new maps. Now, these maps do not have a name. They do not have a name, and we will just go one by one here, starting with the big map on top. As you can see, ABC cap going from, I'm assuming it's going to go bottom to top like Trapped was. Pretty much set up like Trapped would be. cap-wise. A little bit of islands on the outside on the 8, 9, 10 line, or the 1, 2 line. I don't know how they're going to number it either. And then you got caps on the top end, and then you have a pretty nice actionable spot there at B. What do you think of these? Well, first of all, what do you think of us having new maps finally after Haven? Which I think Haven was the last new map that we got, and that was how long ago?
I don't, dude. When it was tier 10 clan battle, tier 10 rank, tier 10 clan battle, tier 10 rank, I think I played fucking hotspot like a 500 times.
It was
and
a mess.
Sleeping Giant 500 times. And you're just like, kill me now. Just kill me now. I'm done. I'm over this. I don't want to play high tiers anymore. It's terrible. So about damn time. I think the funny part though is they're a little so they're starting to get a little copy pasta a little bit on the maps. I'm extremely excited for them, but they look very similar to a lot of stuff we've seen in the past. But even with some changes, even the mid-tier one that is now a higher tier map or can be higher tier. What was that? Where like kind of A and C got all switched up and kind of channels around. That one
Shards?
even is it Shards? I don't know. Whatever one it was, but it used to be a mid tier. Now I think it's a high tier map. Like that one with a small change can definitely change up the play. So I'm excited, man. It's about damn time we got some new maps instead of just getting the 15th version of North and
the 15th version of
Islands of Ice.
Yeah.
You know, a bunch of times. Like that was their new map. They would just rotate Islands of Ice again or something.
Right.
So about time.
I'm all for new maps. I want it's more learning. I have the most fun playing this game when I'm actually learning something and experiencing something for the first time. And you know, I think a lot of viewers, you might maybe agree or disagree with this, but I think a lot of viewers like to see that mental state of where you are when you start to when you finish the game, and then you start to be more consistent with it. They like to see that little boost there. And anyway, just more maps, more fun, more opportunities to get into some trouble and try to get ourselves out of it. So I'm all for new maps.
Good.
So I would like to, as much as I despise some of these maps, so like Tears of the Desert, still terrible.
I don't think it's as bad when they rotated it. I thought it was all right when they rotated it. I find it kind of fun.
I still struggle with it. I mean, I play it really well. I have some of my best games on that map, but and I think that there's nothing that they could do. They could change it up tomorrow and call it Tears of the Desert, put an ice an ice map on that thing and call it Tears of the Desert, and I would still hate it because of how much salt and predisposed hatred I have toward that map because of the Mogami. But that's another story. So let's take a look at this bottom map here. Pretty interesting setup. How do you think this is going to play?
I'm always trying to find like the trap areas on where like, okay, where the hell is everybody gonna like lemming around to? To me, that kind of looks like the map we had in the mid tier that, you know, south side would always go channel into A cap. I just can't think of what the map's name is. And then north side would channel into C cap, and then the random DDs.
That's called Shards.
Is it okay? It's called
Shatter's the one. Shatter's the one with the big ball in the middle and all
middle.
the channels going in.
Yeah. So to me, it looks like Shard with a bit more of a protection going in. So B might be a bit of a cluster coming from radar ships on that little islands going there, but it looks like Shard with a lot more open A and C cap and a more protected B cap, where B used to be a tad more open.
It does. How we cap this stuff? Probably very stealthy DD. Whatever the stealthiest DD on this, I can see it's going to go to C, going to go to A. Based off the top spawn or the bottom spawn, I would say top spawn would go top, and then bottom spawn would go bottom toward the A cap. If we're going from A is on the bottom left and then moving up to the top right is Charlie. I would say that because there's a little bit more protection in there. Maybe turn around back into the cap right there just in case they get radared. Then they can have an escape route and still be in relative safety. As for capping B is going to be the hotbed, I think, on this map. You're going to see a lot of people right out in the middle, just above the B cap, just shooting at each other across the ways, going sideways like Okinawa is in the middle, just absolutely hammering each other, all of that on their way toward A or B, or A or C. So that's kind of.
I honestly think north spawn has a bit of an advantage. If you can see on that B cap, you can get much more supporting salvos. So if the north side goes A B, and holds that off, because imagine all like the big bad battleships that are scared of everything getting locked down behind those two tiny maps on the south side of A. If a battleship goes to the top side of B heading south, they can protect their entire right side and then also smash everything pushing into C cap. So that'll be kind of interesting. But it's just going to depend on flows. I see the same trap for the bottom side A cap and the top side of C cap for ships just going that way and being lazy, and then you lose your battleships all game. So that'll kind of suck. Yeah. A one that super flat islands into the A cap seems super sketchy for destroyers. So that'll be kind of interesting. You don't see that on C cap as much, because I mean, imagine a radar ship going and just hugging that island. They're protected from one side, and you can just bow in. So that'll be kind of nutty, especially this is all high tier, isn't it? So
I'm not quite sure what these maps are.
Probably, no, this one seems smaller, so it'll probably be a mid tier map then. So only a couple ships will have radar, so you won't have to worry about it.
3 new maps for 8 to 10 battles.
Yeah. So imagine it. See those like flat ones in between A and B, those flat islands, north and south, east, west. Mm-hmm. Like imagine just a Des Moines going bow in. It's like, how do you go against that?
You pray.
Yeah, right. It's just like Salem goes there. He's going to get, even with his 8.5 kilometer radar, he's going to be able to get that whole cap. So north side seems terrible or A side seems terrible from north side. And I don't know. We'll have to see. Again, you can look at this map. We just don't know how it's going to flow with all the players.
Hey guys, I apologize for the smallness of the maps, but this is the only visuals that we've been able to procure here in the podcast. So, all right, so there you go, guys. There's an 8 through 10 medium-sized map from what the dev blog is stating. I think it's going to be interesting. Obviously, we have to wait and see, because you don't want to be like, oh, this map's going to be terrible, and it's going to be like your favorite map later on. But that is the first map. Moving up into the middle map here, we see a horizontal capping, not unlike Sleeping Giant, a little bit of a Thunderdome on the left side. We have one big main island, or a smallish style island right in the middle of where the B cap would be, and then a little bit of stuff on the left hand side, and then you have a big wall, not unlike mountain range, going through the right hand side of where Charlie separate from Bravo to Charlie, and then you have a little bit of freckling islands out there, not unlike mountain range on the outside. What do you think of this map? First take.
B cap seems pretty decent. That's what I always try to look for. Like I don't like going A or C cap on most maps. I try to hit B cap as much as I can, because I try to be as central as possible in most of my attacks. Obviously, it depends on what ship I'm in. But B cap seems decent here, so that's kind of nice. The thing is, though, it's just I always look for like traps of where are you gonna lose 6 of your teammates, and those big islands off to the left side or the west side of the map, I don't think people would hang out in those small islands to the east as much. But you kind of, I mean, if you think of mountain range, right? Those tiny islands off to the was that A side? Yeah, that's kind of just like the no man's land. You kind of lose some ships over there, yeah, but not really. Most of the other side, everyone goes C cap. So this one, assuming A is the west side, I feel like that's just going to gobble up all the ships in this entire map. And then it's going to be weird because there won't be too much cover heading towards the rest of the map. I feel like getting B cap and then supporting from C will be stronger, because you can bow in against those islands and cover one of your side. And then
To root somebody out of that C cap, if they are about
That's gonna
in,
be brutal.
it's going to be hard. I mean, you definitely want to. I think the play here is to go BC hard early
Yeah.
on the C. Maybe not deep into the cap yet, but maybe get into the islands in between B and C, and just try to peck them off as you're going in. Try to do as much damage as you can, if you can spot them as they're coming
Yeah,
in. And then
because I mean, just imagine people coming from that A side into B cap. I mean, one destroyer can hold down an entire fleet basically. So you can just pepper them because it's going to be all about working that kind of that kind of W-shaped mountain range right there. If you're on the east side of that, dude, you're. I mean, how are they going to get? How are they going to push into you? You can't really do anything.
they would have to
Probably.
go a long way around to try to do
Well,
it.
they just have no cover. It's almost like neighbors. You know, the people that go to the whatever map.
Sure.
A cap.
Yeah.
Is it A cap or C cap? Whatever. It is.
Charlie's up top, and which drives me nuts when people go up there. But A cap is down on the bottom, and B is in the middle with that one little island on the right hand side.
Yeah, but it seems really tough going west to east. It seems much easier going east to west because you don't really need to go to A cap if you have B and C. You just wait for them to push into you.
Now, obviously, different players are going to succeed in different situations, but for ships on this map, I think the fast French battleships, the fast French cruisers, the really quick DDs, able to get out to that outside, probably going to have a little bit of an early advantage here, as they tend to do, to get outside and try to get some of those side shots of those people slowly rolling back across the map, or maybe they can get some long shots going up to A if they're rolling to Charlie. Thoughts?
Well, the first map just screamed Des Moines to me. This one, Des Moines Salem. This one, you kind of just hold your radar ships in the middle, and then Zhao, Henry, Kaba, anything that's just a farming ship goes south, north, doesn't really matter, right? And then just have your kind of. I mean, if you're on B side, anything that's going to bow tank Yamato, the new Russian battleships, you know, whenever these are supposed to hit. I mean, those things are just bow in tankers. So and that'll be strong for anything. Anything that's just gonna be able to bow in is gonna be great, or get on the side and just flank. I think kind of everything will do all right here. I'm trying to think if anything will be really weak. Depending on how big those islands are, the light cruisers might have a tough time because they're so map dependent and they're so island dependent.
If they're not tall islands, the light cruisers, they might have to sit back a little bit, but they should be able to get their shots over.
Depending
on how tall
it just depends on because those islands are so small though. Those in between A and B cap, they might be able to close off, but those islands are tiny, so that line of sight they just might get obliterated. So it might be kind of hard.
It'll be rough.
But other than that, I feel like it'll be decent. I feel like everything will be able to have an impact on this one at least.
I'm a little more excited for this map than I was for the first map that we talked about. There's a little bit of open, there's a little bit of islands, there's a little bit of hidey. You're going to have people going to that 1-2 line and just sitting there the entire game like they did on Okinawa. And I think, little caveat here to this, that I think Okinawa actually got worse with the change.
You think it's worse? I was
worse.
going to bring that up. I was like, I think they saved it.
It's still a good map, and people that play the middle, it plays very well. But there's still those people that go up to that A line, and now they never come out of there. I mean, even more now than they did. And it pushed them way up further to the top of the map, 4 or 5 people. We had a game where one guy literally sat up there the entire game and then had a guy run right around him. And he didn't do anything.
You're still going to get that, right? Like, yeah, even though there's no cap on north, people still go to where there's a literal sign that says battleships don't go this way, and you're still going to get 3-4 people going that way every time.
Those games are very far and few in between, so I think Okinawa is actually better than it was. People are still stupid and they still go up there. I think that's what I'm getting at anymore. But I still see that same opportunity for these people to be stupid and go sit behind those islands and do absolutely nothing. Okay, guys, we got A cap. Now what? We're gonna sit here.
Yeah.
And they give up 3/4 of the map, and there's really nothing.
That's the thing, right? Because you look at this map, and whenever you're trying to find areas on where it's hard to get out of without taking damage. And that 1, 2, 3 line just screams like, how are you going to get out of that without getting obliterated somehow? So people are in this game are scared to take damage. They don't like taking damage, even when they're in ships that do well at taking damage. So if your big bad battleships get stuck in there, or they'll never leave it. It'll be like glue. So I think this map will probably be one on BC side, and then you just kind of sit back, relax, and enjoy the show if you kind of got that, because you'll just watch them one by one just sail in to get obliterated from the west side. I assume. Again, we got to wait to see how it plays.
Oh, you know it's going to happen. I mean, we don't have to wait to know that these people are going to sit up there and then get obliterated as they're trying to come out broadside to everything.
Yeah.
It's just going to happen. Guys, we're hanging out with my man, Mejash. You guys can hit him up over on his Twitter, at Mejash TV, or catch him out over his Twitch, twitch.tv/Mejash, where I am at Sir Venom IK. If you guys didn't know, well, I don't know where you've been. Twitch.tv/Sir Venom IK is where you should be. And head on over to Sir_Venom_IK over on the Twitter. You guys can hit me up if y'all have any questions. Guys, if y'all do have any questions, comments, or concerns about what we're talking about tonight, hit it up right here in the chat at Sir Venom IK, and we will get to those questions coming up here in just a little bit. All right, let's move on into the third map that they revealed for us. Now, this one, you know what? I don't know about this map, man. There's a lot of cover between the 8, 9, and 10 line on the right-hand side. There's a lot of cover between the ABC line, or the 1, 2, 3 line. And then there's a Thunderdome, basically, at B here, like you see in Sleeping Giant, where A is. This is going to be a let's fight for B and then push out into Charlie from initial views on this. A is going to be really good. I think this map is going to be an interesting board, man. I think a lot of people are going to sit up on that 1, 2, 3 line, or the 8, 9, 10 line over there, and shooting over these islands, depending on how big they are, how tall they are. And I don't know. It's just going to be a bog down at Charlie from what I see. Go ahead.
I feel like you will get because if you really look at angles shooting into B cap, I assume you're just gonna, if DDs know what they're doing. So either this map, every game will have a DD that just goes into B cap and gets radared and murdered, or you'll have a DD that kind of knows what they're doing, and then they'll just nut up to that middle island, and then it'll just be a standoff the entire game, and nothing will do anything.
You know, when you're saying that, it almost reminds me of Hotspot over there at Charlie during that Tier 8 rank season, where it was nothing but low yangs, and all it was radar. Or the hydro at 5.4 kilometers, spotting and waiting for these people to do something.
So this one is, I don't know. There's a lot of cover. If you look at B cap, that middle island seems massive for no reason. It's kind of like Trap, where it has a big middle map, but that map's relatively short. But if you look at like the angles from even the left or the right side, there's almost like no angles to shoot at a DD that's on either side. So it just seems weird for Wargaming to make something that's just a never-ending Mexican standoff. So that unless that island's super super low, like there's like the landing strip in Hotspot on the C cap. There's like that really low line. If it's really flat like that, that might be kind of interesting. But to have an island that big in the middle of B cap, you'll never be able to get out of B cap. If you get in there, you're basically stuck there until the team is entirely dead. And
or
so the map
take a lot of damage trying to get
out.
Oh
yeah. But I don't know. This one seems kind of weird. Out of the ones, I'm trying to see if C cap, the east side cap, as I punch my mic, east side cap has like a better advantage from north or south side. But this is one I don't know, man. This is a weird one. You can look at the top down. Yeah.
This one's interesting.
But I want to see what it looks like when you're running on the water.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. See how tall these islands are. This one thing about these little over the head shots. They give you a little bit of information, but how exactly tall are these islands is going to be a big key factor here. I can see potential things. If you can get a team to push into A, you have this island right next to B that you can just put your light cruiser on, bow up, or your heavy cruiser. Demonies is going to do really well there. Cover both caps, or cover a majority of both caps with its radar. And then if you can get somebody on that top side, looking at Charlie, you can be very effective on Charlie with a Demonies or something that can bow tank, or even a battleship that can bow tank, put right there. And depending on how high these islands are, they're not going to be able to get over into you. So you can pretty much sit there the entire game shooting things that are trying to come from that 8, 9, and 10 line that we're going to see trying to push through those islands.
World of Warships has gone like a real big pattern of like opening maps up, opening caps up, getting them more open for a bit more of a fight with some cover. To leave this kind of super closed off B cap with very few ways to get out, but tons of cover while you're in there, seems kind of reverse. So I'll be honest, I look at this and go, this probably isn't finalized. Honestly, it seems so against what they've been doing for so long. There's way too much cover. There's way too few firing angles. There's way too many safe spots, and it's way too slow of play. From what I just see on this map.
That's something that I've always said, that the game is very slow, and a lot of people coming into World of Warships, or that you're trying to get people to come into World of Warships via your Twitch streaming community. Yo, man, I watched you play that game. It doesn't look like it for me. It looks like it's awful slow, and it is. It is awful slow. It's very slow, and then you have very highly intense moments that last 3 and 4 minutes at a time. But this with let's actually connect this now. If you have islands like this, and you're starting to see it, I'm seeing a lot on the new Islands of Ice, and I saw it a lot during this last ranked season.
Islands of Ice is really slow now.
It's a very slow game. You see it with the clan battles on that board. I can't stand that board for clan battles because they get into that right hand side and then they never move, and it's such a slow slogging pace that it kind of puts people off. So they tend to open up the maps, and the pace gets a little bit faster. The population goes up a little bit. People are happy with the maps.
Well, like you see, look at ACAP right now. See that little tiny bean of an island that's on the north side of ACAP? Mm-hmm. Like that just gives that. Like, I hate caps that have stuff like that. North used to have it, where you could actually hide behind an island and still cap the map out. Mm-hmm. Islands of Ice has a lot of those maps right now that the edge of the map or edge of the cap is actually behind an island, so it's just like they cap it and they're just sitting behind there.
It's just
like
see how that,
yeah. So see how that has that bean island. That is, I'm assuming the space will still be there to cap with a destroyer. So north side just has instantly an advantage on this map with just logging in. So I don't see that anywhere on the south side. Like the south side doesn't really have the same advantage.
You still have that a little bit on. What was the map? It's got A is separated from B. There's a 3 set of islands. It has the castle that you used to be able to shoot through. Anyway, you can do that from that island where the castle. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Where the castle.
Atlantic?
No. It's not Atlantic. It's another one. Anyway, it doesn't matter what map it is, but what he's saying is that you can get into these islands and you can just nut yourself in there, and you're halfway in there, and all you have to do is keep hitting forward, and there's nothing that you can do. You can see it on fault line as well, over on the A line from the top side. You can get into that cap right up next to that island and still cap, and they can't do anything about it.
Yeah. Like, I'm all for there being cover in maps. Like fight for the middle, then there's cover. I think Hotspot's a good example. There's that big island, or no, Trap where there's that big island in the middle. If you get through there, you're going to be within radar range most likely, but it's really hard for them to kind of get that. Like, I find that to be okay, but if anybody's moving at any kind of angle, then you get kind of screwed. This island, I hate when they add things like there's an island just inside the cap, and you can just hide behind that. We see it on this. We see it on Islands of Ice. And this map instantly just gives the north side. To me, this just screams, there's a work in progress. Sign up. It screams that this isn't finished.
I would hope it's not finished, because it's, from what I'm looking right now, that's it's a little bit one-sided advantage to one versus the other side, and you definitely want to have an even split, like you see with Haven. It's a map that I'm not particularly fond of, but it is relatively fair for both sides. Something like Two Brothers is relatively fair for both sides, except for that guy going up the middle for $5. That
well, I mean, like the first one we looked at, the first one was super symmetrical.
Let's bring it back up. There you go.
Yeah, if you look at it, it's super symmetrical. So I think that's the best way to make islands, and the best way to make maps in this game is you're not giving any team an advantage. You are straight up just, okay, everyone gets the same thing. Everyone gets the same setup. There shouldn't be really like, oh, north spawn has this, south spawn has that. There should be the identical going forward for just symmetrical map. You should be able to cut it in half. And, obviously there can be like different kinds of cut ups. Like as you see on, let me pull up that one, see if I can find an example there.
Right.
But
let's talk symmetrical here. There's nothing more symmetrical in this game than the map Ocean.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I got Ocean again, man. I love playing Ocean.
I had one of my best games ever in the Atlanta, which is my favorite ship out there. The Atlanta on that map, just holding the button down, driving around in circles, and just surviving. Basically, is what all it was. Humping the DDs and stealing their smoke. This is back before the radar change or smoke change and all that other stuff. But was able to actually be effective with that on that board. Now,
I think my highest damage booster game is on Ocean.
You're a monster. You're a monster. Winston heard Ocean Man, and he's like, "Oh,
yeah,
there you go."
He's like, "I want tricks."
Do you think in this with the new game modes that we're seeing out there, a la the arms race or epicenter, do you think that Ocean has a place to come back into rotation is more than it is now? Because you get like less than 1% of your games on Ocean, if that.
Oh yeah, I love Ocean. I mean, it does kind of shit on a couple of classes. So like instantly, you're a light cruiser. Well, that sucks. You know, it does take a couple of the lines and just go, well, this is going to really suck for you. Even kind of almost all the USN cruisers, it kind of just shits on them. But everything else kind of is good.
I think they all have a purpose in that map, except for those short range cruisers.
Yeah,
something under 14 kilometers is not going to survive very well. Maybe even 16, I believe, at some point. But I think if they do it and they do it as a gimmick, not just ABC, and God, please don't put standard battle on that thing, because standard battle's the worst. But put an epicenter on there, man. I would love to see epicenter on that board. Just for, hey, I don't care. Do it for space battles. Do it for something different. And that way that it's wide open. Everybody has to play as a team. You rotate, whatever. I don't care. I want to see that map come back more. All right, continue.
Well, I feel like that's something that World of Warship is doing a lot. And that's something that I hope they keep doing, is they keep using some pretty big events for testing mechanics and testing game modes and testing new features. So look at all the buffs we got during the Halloween event. They made up all those buffs that all those ships could get. Right. Like they could do a billion things with arms race. You could make up random stuff with random ships, base them off of base models and stuff like that, and give them different buffs here and there. There's a lot of things they could do. And I know I always everyone it's a kind of a meme example, but I think like Fortnite does a really good job of it.
Right.
And I know I said the dreaded fork knife game, but they do a really good job about bringing in a weekly game mode where they just go and they test something out, see if it works. If it doesn't work, then they get rid of it. But if it works, okay, we have something to go off of. So
I would like to, if warships have done that, we wouldn't have got Bastion the way it was.
Bastion was such dog
Bastion
shit.
mode, I thought it had potential, but the way they implemented it was a little bit too strong. I remember the one game I played. It was on your favorite map, Hotspot, and I was in a GK. That's right, Sir Venom played a freaking German battleship for once, and ran. As soon as I spawned in, I was spotted. And I was getting bombarded from 12 to 13 kilometers away by this thing. Yep. I was getting set on. I literally lost almost 40,000 damage before I even made it to the A cap because of these things. It was a little bit broken. So maybe I
think to this day, those turrets still have the highest kill death.
Do they really?
Died.
Well, then, there you go. Smart ass. I like it. I missed it. I missed that one. So, hey, mark one up for Mejash and -1 for Servano. All right, continue on with what you got with this map, man.
Yeah, it's just this one's out of the three. I think this one's the worst one. I think this one's dog shit. Next.
All right. So that's all the three maps that we have right there for you. Now, guys, go leave your feedback in the forums. If you guys like them, give them your opinions. But make it good opinions, not like, this map sucks. Give them a reason why you think it's terrible. Give them a reason why what you think would be better. Then that's the feedback that they're looking for. Okay, well, we can't do this because that. Then you can get legit answers and not just, okay, well, you going out on a Reddit thread saying this map sucks or the CVs suck, and they just kind of throw those away because there's no reason why you think that they suck. So there you go. Constructive criticism is the right word. All right, let's move on, guys. We're hanging out with Mejash. Guys can hit him up over at twitch.tv/Mejash. I am a Servant of IK right here on this channel, twitch.tv/Servant of IK. If you guys want to have an active conversation, come on over. Let's go into some new hotness. Some new testy things that we got going on. The Russian battleship line is out there for testing. I've myself played a few of these. I know, Dash, you've been playing a couple of these as well. Initial overall reaction, knee jerk. Give me a knee jerk reaction to him.
I find them really fun. Like this is kind of just a blanket statement, is I think we'll see a
Fair
lot of
enough.
changes on these. But I like that so I am excited yet worried at the same time, because they promote getting aggressive and promote getting close, which I think is something this game lacks, because you want to use that 12-kilometer buff for the dispersion, because it goes from dogship, like battleship dispersion, to basically cruiser level dispersion within that 12 kilometers. Although I think the 12-kilometer range is too far, and I think that's something we'll probably see with balancing on these, as it's way, way, way too far. You just smash everything.
It's
But
ridiculous.
I like that they found, and I always like this, is they found a unique play style for a battleship, and I think I'm excited to see what ends up happening with.
We're having some technical issues. Say that last little bit again for the people at home.
Oh, I was just saying, I feel like I'm excited for what this line brings, because it brings aggressiveness, but I feel like it rewards that random kind of buff too much, and I think that's something we'll see the balance on. Although I really do not like the gimmicky. I really don't like the gimmicky radar. I feel like I hate cyclones already, and it just gives them an instant advantage over that over other battleships when it comes to cyclones.
I find my knee jerk reaction is these things are very strong up close, and as long as you're not broadside,
Don't be broadside.
you're gonna have a monster game.
Yep.
I found starting at let's go with the high tier, man. What's tier 10? Just start up that. You've played that one more than I have. I've played it twice so far. What's that? The Kreml.
No, the Kremlin.
The Kreml. What do you think? What do you think of the Kreml compared to something like the Montana, which I feel is the best battleship in the game currently, versus something I feel it's one of the worst is. The GK has just kind of been power crept out. How do you think that this one compares? Where would you rank this? Number one, what is your battleship power rankings at tier 10? In your opinion, what's the top one? What's the bottom? What everything in between? And then where would you put this in that line in its current state?
Like right now, this ship's super super tanky. So, I battleship wise probably go. Probably go Yamato, Montana, Repub, GK, Conqueror, like that. We're assuming that it's not all 1v1 fight. I put this. I'm not exactly. It's tough, right? Because the thing is, if this thing gets broadside, it gets punished probably more than any other battleship. So, but if you get within 12 kilometers, I don't think it loses to anything. So that's kind of tough. It just tanks so much. It bounces so much. I gotta put it probably near the top. I haven't played it enough. I mean, you have the Yamato, which lull pens everything. You have the Montana, which is so consistent. You have the Repub that pumps out just a ton of lull pen damage. But man, if this thing gets within 12 kilometers of you with the current buff that it gets with accuracy, I just don't see this thing losing in any situation.
I find I tend to agree, and only played 2 games in this thing so far, but I did not have any problems brawling people. I felt a little weak on the over about 15 kilometers where I started to see a freaking massive loss in accuracy. But under 15 kilometers, these things are monsters.
It's 12 kilometers is when that buff kicks in.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go. So under 12, it gets even better. This is designed for something that I've always thought that this game was played too far away. And if they could design a boat or a line of ships that gets better the closer they get, which, you can argue about the Germans how they kind of get better when they get closer, but they're so unreliable with their accuracy that. How good are they if they're unreliable? That's one thing too. Gets better reliability the closer you get.
Yeah, that's one thing too. Is the German battleship is outside of the IGN destroyer line is probably one of the most power crept lines in this entire game. They had something that was unique. They had this secondary barrage that you didn't want to get within X amount of range, or else you just get burnt down. There's something you could do. You couldn't citadel them, but is the small calibers of a German battleship going to out and with with the secondaries, going to be able to out DPM a Bowen. Is a GK going to be able to burn down a Bowen Kreml is faster than a Bowen Kreml will be able to just annihilate a GK? I don't think so. I don't think there's any chance in hell it's going to work. Now, you do only have so many repairs when it comes to the Russian battleship, that being their thing. But, I mean, you're basically shooting Hindenburg level accuracy when they're within that 12-kilometer range. So it's just like, good luck, man. You'll just chunk them for 25K a salvo.
Now, in the 2 games that I played in the Kreml, I did not see a GK to shoot at bow on. Did you get a chance to shoot at a Yamato or how do the guns?
I actually went against the Kreml and actually cheeked the shit out of him.
He got a pretty decent cheek like the Yamato.
He was giving up a tad more broadside. I would put it probably Yamato style, but I mean, I was thinking like 6 or 7K. So 457 is gonna overmatch a lot anyway.
True.
But it's a ship that you just kind of go bow in and kind of murder everything. It's just you turn your turrets here, boom, murdered. Turn your turrets here, boom, murdered. I've been playing a lot more. I've been trying to get the Soyuz, the Tier 9, to work for me, so I've been playing that a lot. I haven't played the Kremlin in a while. Basically played it, had 2 really good games and just moved on.
So let's go ahead and jump into Tier 9 then, the Soyuz. What do you think of this one?
I think this is the turd bowl of the tech tree. I think this is the turd bowl here. I think this is the Azumo of the tech tree. I think this is the Freddy DeGrobe of the tech tree.
So
it's pretty standard for
I'm going to enjoy the hell out of this boat, right? Because I love the Izumo, man. I think the Izumo was even before the buffs. I had a really enjoyable time playing through that line. This
is the only one on the line I haven't been able to work or to get to work. I don't know what it is. It's just a smaller version of the Tier 10. Smaller caliber though, for 406s instead of 457s. But I can't get this one to work. All the other ones have been easy peasy.
Easy peasy. Do you think that it is balanced and that's why it's not as overpowered as the rest of them, or strong as the rest of them, or do you think that it's in a decent spot, or what do you think that they need to do with this thing?
I think a lot of the balancing around this ships, like in my opinion, is all about that 12-kilometer buff. If they didn't have those, these are all pretty mediocre battleships. So it's all about getting within that 12-kilometer buffs. And I'm not sure, man. This is just the one I've been playing a lot and just haven't been able to get it to work. Everything else has been really easy. Like the Vladivostok, the Tier 8 is a monster. The Lenin is a monster. I just don't know. Maybe it's just the only pretty much getting 2 406s up front because you're bow tanking so much instead of 2 457s. I don't know. Maybe that's causing it, but it could be balanced. I think overall these ships are outside of 15K are mediocre at best, but it's when you get in, that's just when they're so punishing. But I like that. It's unique.
Maximum speed on Tier 9 is 28 knots. Do you think that this is a little too slow? Has it made a difference?
I don't think so, because you're basically getting quickly into a spot and then just kind of sitting there, and then you're charging at a certain point. So, I mean, there's other games where with the Vlad, just never stop going forward. So it's not like you need to go 35 knots forward. That's almost too much because you want to keep things within that 10-kilometer range. Because if you start getting too close, potentially you're going to go up broadside to something. So I think that's fine, because you're going to get into a spot, wait for a couple salvos, and then if you can find a place to start pincering down, then you're going to. So I think that's fine. It's not like your things are running away from you extremely fast or running towards you extremely fast.
Not like you're playing the Leone.
yeah.
That Tier 6 Italian bird there. All right, let's move down. You mentioned it before, the Lenin. This is a special design here. It's got the 3 front turrets.
Your design.
It's my design, man. I love the Nelson. I love these boats.
Yeah.
I think the Lenin, also the middle turret, I believe is a 360 turret as well.
Yeah.
And this thing, I played a few games in this thing. I like this thing.
This thing's pretty nasty.
This thing is dirty. And we actually got out. We had to open up because we were getting a little bit too deep to kindly make a quick run away. And we were able to tank with our butt. And I was kind of surprised because usually when you go go backwards or you turn and run in like the Nelson, they just pin the hell out of you. And but I was really happy to see, and especially in something like the Dunkirk and the Richelieu, they both take a lot of butt damage. But overall, I think this is probably so far my favorite one that I've played because it just fits my play style. A little bit open here, get that third turret out there, fire it off if you have to. I mean, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a really good ship. It really is. So, probably it's the premium too, which is nice, and it's unique. But yeah, you get all those turrets forward, and I think it's the only one that gets 9 guns forward. So, well, obviously at a small angle, but you're at in my opinion, you can be at a pretty solid tier. I think it up tiers pretty well. It has 406s, so it's the same caliber as the tier 9 anyways.
Yes.
And it can make things disappear without having to give up really too much broadside because you're throwing 9 406s out at the 12-kilometer range. That's going to make a lot of things real. It's going to hurt a lot of ships.
Yeah, I have no complaints about this thing. I still think it might be a little bit too accurate up close. You got to throw a little bit more RNG in there, but this is something that I've been wanting for a long time, and I've said it on the channel many times. Is I would like a small caliber gun that's just accurate as hell, and maybe I give up a little bit damage, but I know I'm going to hit 3 or 4 shells into this Citadel, and consistency is what I'm looking for in a battleship, and this is the consistency that I've been looking for at the tier 8, because there's a lot of really good tier 8 battleships out there, North Carolina, Alabama, all these other Amagi. For much as I'm not a fan of the Amagi, it is still a really solid boat, but this one has even more consistency than those up close. So look for this one.
Yep, solid ship.
Look for this one if it releases now, which I'm assuming these are all still work in progress. There's no assumption there, but so they possibly can and will change. So take that into consideration when it does come out. Is it going to be the same? We don't know. Let's move on into the other tier 8, the Vladivostok. Now this one has a gigantic nose on it.
Oh yeah, it looks like a speedboat in a way, you know.
It does. Honestly, it looks like how you sit there and you hit the gas in a boat, and it just kind of props up there, where the nose comes way up out of the. Almost like a cigarette boat, just like what you're talking about. Yeah, I find this boat. I was very impressed with this boat. I got a little bit broadside in it, and I got smashed up. But as long as I wasn't broadside, nobody was doing damage to me. Barely at all, man.
Tank like crazy. What the big downside is on this ship is that the nose is so big, and so I was going bowing against a Jean Bart, and he went back to back. Double fires on the front end, only on the front end, so the front 2 fires. So that's a kind of a downside, is just having that huge area of just solid wood deck, basically. So you will be lit, especially being bow tanking. You have the potential of being burnt down. So this is something that fire prevention will be big, survivability perks and modules will be big, fire burning flags, all that kind of stuff is kind of needed.
Survivability, tanky, zombie type type build for this guy, because you are on fire a lot. I had a triple set of fires coming on me from I don't know, some cruiser out there set me up with 1 volley and triple fires on this thing. I was very I don't know why I get upset at this, because it happens to me every damn game, but but it's very frustrating. All right, so tier 5, tier 6, tier 7, we have the Paytor Veliki. I have no idea. The Ismail, and then Sinop. Anything special about these boats that you want to talk about? I'm not going to go individual with these because they're tier 5, 6, and 7, and the majority of the games are played at 8, 9, and 10. So,
tier 5 is extremely good. The tier 7 is extremely good. Same thing. Tier 6 is basically like an October Revolution with it. To me, it seems like aim hack. A lot of these really don't have like a crazy range, like less than 18 kilometers for the tier 7. But again, if you're within that 12-kilometer range, you're just obliterating everything. So like a tier 6, you spend a lot of game within that 12-kilometer range. So tier 5 especially too. So you're just obliterating everything. Apparently the armor layout on the 6, I didn't know this, I didn't experience this, is really bad. I think I bow tanked because it's just a 25 millimeter plating. I didn't notice that there's kind of a bad armor scheme on this. Apparently, you just get sitted all the time. I didn't see that.
I didn't
But
experience that as well.
yeah, but
Having played
apparently that's a downside. But man, how these things stand right now, they're god tier for these. If you can get within that range, it's like using cheat codes. It seems like because a tier 5 battleship shooting, tier 5 battleship shooting cruiser level dispersion. That seems like another tier 5 battleship that I know of. So that is a tad strong for the tiers. So we'll see. It's good.
Didn't they nerf that dispersion on that?
Yeah, it used to be a lot better, but it's
good. Now that they're talking about moving it to 6, I think they should revert that dispersion. But it's still doing really well at 6 too. But either way, the Tier 5, let's talk about the Tier 5. Before we talk about Tier 5 here, I got to tell you guys that we're coming up on our question and answering portion here. If you guys have any questions for me, Mejash, or myself, comments or concerns about anything that we talked about today, go ahead and type in at SirVenomIK here in the chat, at Mejash, or at one of the mods, and they will feed them to me. I do have a little bit of smattering of questions, but we will get to that here in just a little bit. Josh, let's talk about Tier 5 a little bit deeper here. As I remember, my very first volley, as everybody does, the obligatory HE salvo, to really get a boat off there because you forgot to hit the number 2. I did 8,000 damage. I hit like 6 or 7 shells on a Isokaze, and just he ruined his life. He was calling me a hacker and everything.
Oh yeah.
Do you think that obviously these are still work in progress? What do you think that they need to do to tone these boats down, especially starting at something like Tier 5, to where it is a little strong? I mean, it's a little overpowered, man.
I just think toning down the range. I think it's fine that they tank, because if you give a broadside, you just get fucking obliterated. I was in the Tier 9, and I think a prawn stat hit me for like 40k or something like that. So it's a very high risk, high reward. If you are tanking correctly, you get rewarded for that. I just feel like the 12-kilometer range is a tad too far, because once you're in that, you can't really get away. I think if they just make it like 10k, because you risk a lot to get into that range, that will be, I mean, just changing that range. But I think they need to be a little careful, because if they make it too close, like 8 kilometers or 6 kilometers or whatever, if they make it too short, then these ships are kind of just like mediocre battleships in general, and there's no reason to play them. Tier 5, though, you have to be careful with giving Tier 5, Tier 6. You have to be really careful with giving anything that much power as a battleship. Having another strong Tier 5 ship is not healthy for low tiers. So maybe make that one even lower, like 8 kilometers, maybe. I don't know. Same with 6, maybe go up, have it be different tier for tier. But I just think overall this line needs a balance of the 12-kilometer buff. I think my latest video on the Vladivostok, I think I said that like 10 times. But that's my biggest grief, because if you change that, then these are different ships. So what I hope Wargaming doesn't do, which is what they tend to do, is people will say this is too strong, and then they'll change other things that weaken the ship, but the same thing still stays super strong, but the ship is just complete dog shit outside everywhere else. So,
right. So it becomes a glass cannon.
And
we have enough glass cannons in this game, I think, that we don't really need any more. Let me ask you this now. Compare this to the initial that you have of that German thing that was Tier 5, that German battleship. Do you remember this one, the Verbus Unitas? Or don't quote me on that. I played 3 games in that thing before they were gone, and my God, that thing felt like this, but at longer ranges. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just I I don't spend too much time in low tiers, so I didn't play it that much. I was like, all right, it's a like, I think my feedback on it was, yep, it's an extremely accurate low tier battleship, needs to be nerfed. Right. Yeah, I feel like you really can't have extremely accurate low tier battleships, because if you do that, then it's just, why even play cruisers for new players? I mean, you just can't have the new players get obliterated by something they have no control over. So how it compares, I don't know. I haven't played the VU in a while, so compared to this thing, you have to kind of compare them, I guess. But
Right.
I know the VU was extremely tanky, so
It was very
um,
tanky.
yeah,
They did handle that a little bit, and like I don't play too much at tier 5. I think tier 5 is about as low as I go. Every once in a while, we'll troll down and Clemson, or we'll play a Smith game or something like
yeah.
that. But for the most part, the games are played at 6 and above for me on my channel. Uh, there's something to be said about accuracy, and then too much accuracy, and then RNGesus versus the accuracy. And for somebody like me who wants a consistent boat, the one that I can count on when it's going to actually go and do the damage that I need to. This is where I tend to lean more toward the American higher tiered battleships, because they tend to be more consistent with their accuracy. So I can get myself into stupid situations and be able to power my way out of it. Do you think that these boats that these boats, the Russian boats at tier 5 and above, do you think that they are in that same ilk, or do you think that they play different?
Well, it's all about. I mean, it's like I'm playing a record over and over. It's all about
Yeah.
getting. They're extremely inconsistent. They feel like a drunken Roma main battery. Like outside of 15K, you can get a good dispersion, or you can get dog shit dispersion. You get no shells. You get dev strike still. It's a very inconsistent, inaccurate battleship outside that range. But once you're at 12, there's not a battleship that's more consistent than this entire line. So
Fair enough.
you get that buff going, and you just use it and abuse it, and every 30 some seconds, assuming, or maybe less than that with adrenaline rush, there's a lot of pain you throw out. And when you make a move, that these battleships can be absolutely game changing. It was we haven't really seen like game changing battleships until like the pre-nerfed Bourgogne Jean Bart, where they could shoot like 2 or 3 salvos within that speed boost. So these things are pretty nasty. It's a terror within 12 kilometers. So the pain train's coming if you're detected within that.
All right, so it sounds like that. Sounds like consistency overall. I think these are going to be fit right in my little repertoire of battleship gameplay.
If you get close enough, that's the little thing.
Enough, yeah. So there you go. All right, so let's talk about the national flavor here real quick, and then we'll go into the Q&A session, which is coming up, guys. Get your questions in now. Cool. The national flavor, the Germans. You got the relatively inaccurate guns, and then you have the relatively good tank. They don't tank citadel damage, and they have some pretty decent secondaries. The national flavor of the Russians, more along the lines of, hey, we have limited number of charges on our damage control party, and well, that's pretty much it, other than that accuracy buff at 12. Do you think that this is enough downside to the boat? Do you think that this is a downside at all, or do you think that this is a good thing to separate it from everything else, or do you think it's just a gimmick and maybe they should think about switching it back the way the normal battleships would work?
I think that's fine. I think that's fine to have that as there, because there isn't a line that bow tanks better than this line does. Now I know, like I said, with the Ismail, the tier 6, I didn't have the same example. Everyone was saying, or not everyone, but many people were saying that they were getting Citadel at certain angles that I was not. So I'm gonna have to revisit that one a little bit. Even in the tier 5, I did take a pretty big salvo at an angle I thought I was decent on. So, but they're extremely tanky bow in, but I don't think there's a line that gets more punished broadside when it comes to this. So I think it's a fine gimmick, because this line has a lot of risk and reward. You are rewarded for being aggressive, but you also are extremely punished by being aggressively poorly.
That's a fair assessment.
Because if you are pushing in, you're not aware of your surroundings, you're just going to get blown off the planet. So if you have the right angle, you get to reap the benefits. But if a Yamato from across the board that you don't see can dev strike you relatively easily. So I think that's kind of fine. I think it's just another thing that you will probably you won't be as free with your commander skills. You're going to let fires burn a lot more. You're going to use those pretty infrequently and kind of save those, especially for late game. So you will be speccing things out. You'll be taking different captain skills. You can give up aiming system for a lot of stuff, because your dispersion sucks anyway, and it doesn't really do too much when you get within that 12 kilometer range with a buffed range. So you'll be building these ships a little bit different than the real cookie cutter build that you take for a lot of other captains. But yeah, I feel like these have a pretty good unique identity, and I feel like it's a good risk and reward trade off that you're really getting with these ships.
Always like risk reward. There's always something for something here, some kind of quid pro quo action going on here. I've always enjoyed being able to do something a little bit different and play my own style. These have a specific style, which to me is a very aggressive style. From what I've seen, and I think these will go a long way. There's going to be people who absolutely hate them. There's going to be people that try to snipe with these things, and they're going to be absolutely miserable. 12 kilometers is your key right now. Of course, this is like we said earlier, guys. This is all work in progress. This is subject to change, can and probably will change sometime in the future. Well, here we go, guys. That is everything I got. Mejash, number one, I want to say thank you very much for coming on and joining the cast here. I know we gave a little bit of a short time there. We are going to go into the question and answering portion here. While we're doing this, if you guys have any questions, please at ServantOfMyK, at Mejash, or anybody in the channel. Right now, before we start the Q&A, promote your channel, man. Where can they find you? What's your schedule? What you got going on, bro?
Twitch.tv/Mejash. We stream right now. We're streaming 5 days a week, so we take Tuesdays and Saturdays off. This is a temporary thing, but we're doing that. You can check us out from 6 p.m. EST to about 1 a.m. And then we post 6 days a week on the youtube.com/Mejash, and you can hit us up on the Twitters at twitter.com/MejashTV.
There you go, guys. Go check him out. Fantastic guy. I've known this guy for a long time. He actually showed up and took a picture with me at TwitchCon last year, and it was the highlight of my TwitchCon. That and
are you going this year?
Oh, absolutely. I got my hotel booked already. Awesome. I'm just waiting on them to show up the tickets so I can actually make a purchase. And hey, it's in San Diego this year. So
I know. I love San Diego, but San Diego is fucking expensive. But it's all right.
Well, California is expensive to me, coming from Podunkville here in the middle of
nowhere,
I'm from
Texas.
Michigan,
man. Michigan's cheap, too.
Are you guys cheap up there? I figured Michigan would be a little bit more. It's probably more than where I'm at. I'm in the middle of, I live in a town with 15,000 damn people, so we got nothing here.
There you go. Yeah. You might have me beat. I'll let you in.
That's fine. We both have a P.O. box. If you guys want to send him something, then you guys can send him to him. If you guys want to send me something, we got one too. There you go. Either way, try it out, boys. You can see how small my town really is. Twitch.tv/ServantOfMyK, at ServantOfMyK, at Sir_Venom_IK over on the Twitters if you guys want to come in and have an active conversation. Now, time for the active conversation here with the Q&A section. Now, I'm going to read these off, and you take whichever one. Was there any questions out there at the beginning that you saw that you really wanted to tackle first?
I haven't really been watching, I'll be honest.
Fair enough. No problem. Nico Madison says, I don't think that it's underestimating of the fan base by making an error on the estimation of its makeup. Yes, a lot of people are fans, but gauging by how many of those fans are shut-ins and how many will go out, it's hard to tell from a distance. We're talking about the events that Wargaming puts on. That's go ahead.
Yeah. No, I agree. We're gamers. We don't like going outside. So, first of all, you would have had to gone outside, and you would have had to gone to a battleship. So there's a lot of people that play the game that don't really care about that, or it's a location, or and it's a finite area. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like when they are doing this, I feel like it's good to plan on less people coming, but I feel like Wargaming just doesn't give themselves enough credit of like how pretty close and tight knit of a community this actually is. Not that it's anything against Wargaming, it's just I feel like they just don't give themselves enough credit on a lot of stuff.
I think it goes a little bit further. I think Wargaming, if they wanted to have even more successful events, because I deemed this one successful, is that they need to give more time. I had about 2 weeks notice before the USS Texas meetup was going.
Yeah,
and I don't really, and it was just kind of like one of these tweets that I saw off of from Wargaming on tweets, hey, Sea Raptor and Kellern are going to show up at the USS Texas. It's like, oh, I didn't even know that this thing was a thing. So let me go and see when it is, and I'm going to be able to make it. So let's go ahead and make it. So I think a little bit more notice time. Like I think Anchors Away at Anaheim, I had 2 weeks notice before they were going to do that. After
well, they did the Let's Battle tour for tanks, which gave like dates set out in time. I think maybe we'll see something more like that for World of Warships or just Wargaming in general. But I feel like World of Warships could do their own venue. I just know that I know I remember talking. It's extremely expensive to do stuff on the like they did on the Lexington. But I would rather them do, instead of one big event or one big con, I would rather them do smaller conventions or more smaller events. I mean, we don't need to go and see a like a ship or whatever if we just want to get like games and everyone just hang out and have a good time and just mess around and have a just a good event. That was so nice about that esports arena over in Anaheim, is it had everything all set up there. They didn't have to do anything. They told them what they wanted to do. They brought the the things that they had to bring, and they had all that stuff there. And then we got to go see the Missouri as well. Was it Missouri or Iowa, whatever was there. Yeah, Iowa, yeah. And so like that's kind of cool. I hope they do more stuff like that, because that was an awesome event. I think Warships hopefully will do more stuff in the future.
I've always said that Wargaming has always done events, in-game events, and outside events very well. They put out a lot for these people. I remember somebody was telling me they did somewhere up in Ohio. They did a Let's Battle tour, and they were coming back with like messenger bags with your gamer tag on it, and I was like, yo, that is what a company needs to do. So props for them. Maybe a little bit more leadway time on that, but that's the only thing I can think of. Man.
Well, one thing Timmy just brought up too is I think that's what's nice about the Let's Battle tour. What they did was it sucks going, like if there's something that's in California and you live in Boston, you're probably not going to go.
No.
But if they do more events spread out, they do one central, they do one West Coast, they do one East Coast, Northwest, Northeast, whatever. You can do it's an easier drive if it's in New York, if somebody's from Boston, than if somebody's from Boston, California. So they've done it with tanks. I hope they do it with warships.
I would like to see some more spread out. Of course, I'm 10 hours from the USS Texas, so it was a long ass drive just to get down there. There's nothing close to me because I live in the middle of nowhere. But absolutely, if you can get them some on the East Coast, some on the West Coast, then you can hit a multiple fan base, and people will drive. I know people will drive to these things just so they could get a chance to drop an essay on Kami or somebody like that. That was hilarious. All right, so the next part, going to the next question, Timmy G 1004 says, I think another major issue in DD spotting to rocket planes, arming distance, and the lack of fighter squad hit points and duration. You spot a DD and you can't get the reticule ready to hit him, and they're forced to go back and respot all over again. We're talking about the CV spotting change that they're coming up with the next hotfix.
It's so fluid. I haven't played the new CVs. I don't know. That's one that we're gonna have to wait and see how it plays, see how it feels, and it's not the final. So it's kind of tough to like really talk about that. It's just kind of tough to even really talk about the Russian battleships because I just don't think they're finalized. But the CVs aren't really finalized. So you shouldn't be able to detect. I guess you shouldn't be able to detect the destroyer from too far away and line up that line. You should have to run and search for them, and then once you find them, then you should be able to attack them. And same for fighters. I think fighters don't do enough because most people use them for spotting and not for really defending their ships, which I don't think is what it should be used for. I feel like it should be used for defending ships. And if you want to play a more defensive play style, you can. So I do agree that fighters need to do a tad more because it's basically just used for a spotting tool. But I feel like DD, it's not really fair to like get a lineup the first time you find them because you have enough time to set up for it.
I know it's frustrating for some of the CVs when they do spot these things. Oh my God, it's a kid, and now it goes half of my squadron as I'm trying to fly past this guy. It's very frustrating for a CV, but it's also you have to take into consideration about that destroyer. Is it fair for that destroyer to be? Oh, here we go. We spotted him at 5. Boom. Now let's go drop on him. Or if he has his AA off and he's not spotted till 2.5, 3, whatever it is, should you be able to get time on him? I don't think so, because you have to be able to use that spotting. There has to be some kind of give and take with it. So
Yeah, there's got to be some kind of give and take. Yep.
Real Jerk says, any news on radar time and distance? Nope, none on that. Obi Owen says, for me as a viewer, having the opportunity to jump from the favorite streamer that is ending a session to another favorite streamer that's just starting his own is something that I'm always enjoying. Going back to your 9 questions of averageness there. That's something to be said, man. I know when I'm watching a game, or when I was first coming up on Twitch, even before I started streaming, I would watch this one guy. I would watch my man, Mad Mori Kiopa, and watch him all the time. And he would end his stream at God knows when, and then I would roll into the very next guy that was always there the next day, or always there at the end of his channel. And Ming the Merciless 93 was his name. And so I would watch these two guys, and then once Ming went off, or by the time I got tired, Ming was still on, I would go to bed. And those were the 2 people that I watched. And then so there you go. And if any time that you have multiple streamers that you can watch and enjoy, then I mean your Twitch experience is fantastic. There's a lot of good people out there. Red Lewis says, "Yep." Anything on that?
Oh no, I feel like with warships too, more than a lot of other communities is we are so tight. So normally, if I'm done, I'll host up you, or host up business, or host up one of my friends. So I think that's you're going to get that in a lot of smaller communities than you would. And I'm not trying to pick on Apex Legends, but
it's the most prevalent right now.
There isn't as much, I guess, community when it comes to that type of game. There's friends, I feel like there's more, but there's community. So I'll host up a small streamer or somebody from my community that's checking out streaming or whatever. I'll try to host up random people every once in a while, but
I know I alternate.
Usually we try to keep it.
I personally alternate between warships and my my streaming team.
Yeah, it kind of depends, I think, on what I'm playing too. But yeah, for sure, agreed.
I gotta say, playing co-op has calmed me down. I when I play randoms, definitely realizing I can't carry has helped me not be so angry at games anymore. And knowing, paying attention to the flow of the game and understanding how much of a chance you actually have in this game. When you're sitting there on, say, 2 brothers, and you go up the middle and you pull 8 people back, people not realizing that you have to push in, and like, where's the rest of the team? Why are we not being aggressive? So frustrating for somebody who's in there pulling people back and doing all this tanky damage. Totally understand. On the other end of that, if you look up and you're like, hey, okay, we got this thing pretty much in hand. They've lost 6 boats in the first 5.5 minutes, which happens a lot.
Yep.
You realize, okay, well, you guys are going to be on that, and then if you're on the other side of that, you're like, okay, well, hey, this one's a bust. Let's just do what we can to maximize our damage, maximize our experience before the game's over. So I think that's an attitude that I've adopted lately that's kind of helped out with a little bit of the salt, a little bit of the frustration.
Like, one thing I recommend is co-op is fantastic because it's a lot less stressful, right? I wouldn't say the games are just easier, but there's just a lot less stress on your shoulders. But one thing I recommend is just find on the World of Warships is absolutely full of RNG that you just have no control over. So I recommend having other games that you have full control over. Fucking go play Stardew Valley. You can have a wonderful time playing that. There's little out of your hands. So there's I feel like I am probably bigger team Warships than a lot of people are, but I'm also team that give Warships a break. Go play something else. Go play something that if you're having no fun, you're not going to play better when you're pissed off. So just take a break, play something else. I've done that before. I did that the other day when we switched up games. I wasn't having fun anymore, so I keep playing.
Playing XCOM, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
which is a fantastic
RNG
game,
to
by
RNG.
the way. Yeah.
I actually checked out Smite last night. That was actually a lot of fun.
Did you do the bounty for it?
Yeah. It was a good time. I ended up playing it longer than the hour.
Smite's an old school game that I used to play a long time ago. If you guys have checked out Smite, it's pretty awesome. Disciple16 says, my biggest tip is to not get hooked on worrying about your win rate. Just play for fun. I'd like to win. I like to win more than I lose. But worrying about You know, we have games where you go 19-1 at one day, and then the next day you do 8-4, or the next day you do 8-8. You win 4 games and you lose 12. I mean, it just happens. Sometimes the RNG is there with you. Sometimes it's not there with you, and there's some things you just can't control. You can't win every game. So
Yeah, I mean that like it's a PvP game, so the reason you hit battle is because you want to go in and win. So it's kind of easier to say like, oh, just don't worry about winning. Just go having fun. Well, it depends on the mentality of the player, but I do agree that there's only just go in trying to win, but just know there's a lot out of your hands that you have no control over.
Yeah, that is a very good. Just understand when it's out of your control, and recognizing when it's out of your control, I think is a key as well. I know there's times where I'm like, okay, we could still do this, and I'm like, no, there's no way. Looking at our team, and it takes
the
a
remaining
takes a
of your
while.
teammates do exactly the opposite of what they need to do to win. That also happens.
Pretty much all the time. Mejash,
Fucking every day of my life.
Grubsteak says +1 to what Mejash is saying. He helped me a lot when I first started out answering questions about all my random questions.
There you go, man.
Like we
Glad
said,
I can help.
We were always. Mejash has always been willing. I picked his brain. I'm like, if it wasn't for Mejash during this last rank season, I wouldn't have stuck with the 46 because I was bouncing back and forth, and I was playing. I was struggling in the Kitakaze. I was struggling in the Jutland. I was not able to put it together, and I was like, you know what? I've been really comfortable playing the 46, so let me go ahead and play that. Played it, talked to him about it, and he was like, just stay with it, man. And I was like, okay, then we won. Dominated the rest of the time, and we actually ranked out. So
there you go. You gotta find what you're comfortable with when it comes to ranked battles. You don't want to be. There's almost a direct correlation with win rate and the amount of ships played. If you're playing a lot of ships, you're not comfortable with the ship, and your win rate tends to be pretty low. If you are very comfortable with the ship, no matter how strong the ship itself, you're comfortable with it. You know how it plays, muscle memory. Your win rate is almost guaranteed to be higher. So find a ship, especially in that kind of realm, clan battles too. Find a ship you're comfortable with it and play the fuck out of it.
The one that I play in clan battles is probably the gearing. The legendary mod gearing is just too strong.
Yeah.
And that's the one I'm comfortable with. And a lot of people think, why are you playing that? Why don't you play this? I'm like, because I just won 7 games in a row. Why would I want to stop and play something else?
There you go.
Undertaker 1185 says, ask questions and watch and learn experienced players do for the ship they are playing. It's only the only stupid question is the one that you don't ask, in my opinion. No,
Yep.
there's a lot of, I disagree. There's a lot of stupid questions that people ask. There's a lot of them that people ask, but I'm willing to, like, come on, man, that's a dumb question. Come on, next question. Sometimes they're trolley questions. But the majority of them, if they have any basis in reality, then absolutely ask away, man. Ask away, because we are here to help. I know I am. I know you are. So, Hoodily Who says, I wish I could have cared more about being good and learning the fundamentals from the beginning and cared more about being a good player instead of just having fun regardless of win or loss. I think with anything, when people come into a game, they want to be the best of the best of the best. And this is something that I got into for a long time. I've got to be better. I've got to get better. And I learned how to play at a relatively decent or whatever. But then I got to the point where, you know what? I don't have to be the best. I just have to be an average player. And if I'm an average player and I'm a consistent player, then we're going to win more games than not. So I don't know. Coming into it, putting a lot of pressure on yourself, you're going to end up ruining yourself on the game. And hence why I took a month off to go play Star Trek Online. What do you think?
I mean, I don't think you need to be bummed out that you had fun. I mean, that's why you play games anyway, right? Like, you don't need to be bummed out that you had a good time playing the game. Go play the game and then focus about being better later. I mean, because with any kind of PvP game, you start out by playing to have fun, and then you learn the game, and then what ends up being fun, what initially isn't quite anymore. So what you have fun doing is getting better as a player yourself. So it's just the natural progression through any kind of PvP game is starting out having fun first, then you learn the game, then you want to be a better player. So I think that's just a natural progression as a player in any kind of game like this.
That is absolutely, just go out there, have fun, and then worry about it later on once you decide that you want to even continue to play this game for a long clip, because this game can be very long. It took me almost
Oh,
2 years to get all my tier 10s done, and that's 12,000, or no, probably about 8 or 9,000 battles at that point. But we're up over 13,000 or 12,000 battles, give or take, now. So just enjoy it, enjoy it, and you know what? Here's something else. Caveat to this is don't free XP through your lines. Don't do it,
No,
because
good.
once you hit
No
all
reason
of
to.
your tier 10s, man. I know me, Jace, myself, we're desperate for. I say desperate for content. We're desperate for something to do. We want to.
I play another account
There you
because I
go.
have nothing.
We want to have an objective when we play, and this is what these little missions do. This is what Space Battles does for us. This is what Rank Season, maybe Clan Battles. If you're so inclined, that gives us another opportunity to play the game and different, instead of just the random grind all the time. So
I always recommend using free XP to upgrade modules. Stop playing stock ships sucks, but not to skip through ships. Just upgrade modules, play the fully upgraded ship, or get a haul, or get the range upgrade, something like that, to make the ship more enjoyable at the start. But there's not, in my opinion, especially if you don't play, if you are playing consistently, there's not really a ship that takes a lot of free XP that's really worth skipping. There really isn't. I mean, maybe the Freddy to some people, but
now there's also something to be said to this. I have a little saying that I tell people: if you don't like the boat, something like the Freddy that you struggle in, or it's just not really all that overpoweringly good, or maybe you just don't like the damn thing, 10,000 experience a day is all you need. Just do 10,000 experience a day. If you flag it up, you camo it up, there you go. You can get that in 2 to 3 games, 4 if you're having a bad day, and then put it down, and then go play something else, something that you really enjoy. Enjoy those grinds, because once they're gone, you don't really get them back unless they put out a new line. So, Shell Eater says, Fim commented last night that a number of the older maps have been rebalanced and they would likely be put in the rotation in the near future. Talking about new maps. We just saw it with Shards getting a revamp. We saw it with Okinawa getting a revamp. There are some things trying to get in there to maybe speed the game up, or maybe give it a little bit more balance. So keep watching for that. And everybody knows that's more content. Josh, more content.
Yep. There you go.
Woo-hoo. Matt Attack says, well, I see as a reverse captain attempt, just wait the radar. A reverse cap attempt, waiting the radar out. I'm not sure what map he was talking about.
I think he was talking about one of the B caps. Maybe on the one that we thought was kind of poopy. I think that one, but I think I saw that comment.
Yeah, right there. So I fine. Reverse cap it, go in there, stop. You can just sit there the entire game, and they're not going to be able to do anything. Moving on to the next question. Sure, Ocean shits on light cruisers, but one map that never comes up every other map on the island. Waifus for them to hide behind. Daka with impunity. Heaven forbid they have not impenetrable armor one time out of 1,000 games. There you go.
Oh, I agree. I think Ocean should be more on the rotation anyway. I think it should be more on. I would love to see Ocean on all the tiers. I think they should make a small, middle, and large version of the map and have it be on every fucking matchmaking queue.
Gulf of Mexico.
There's no reason to not have it there.
There you go. That's a potential for 3 more maps, and potential for more people to learn how to play in a bigger scale or an open scale, and maybe that they won't sit so far back all the time. Be more comfortable with it when they do get to the higher tiers. Skinny Knight, could they make a change to Cyclones where the weather nerfs the radar somehow?
Can they? Yeah, they can do whatever the fuck they want. Will they? Probably not. I've always thought that either they need to extend the range of the Cyclone to, let's say, 10 kilometers. I feel like 8 kilometers makes no sense. Or extend it to 12 kilometers and have that be. I can't stand it. I think Cyclones are the worst thing in this game. So
I hate them. I end up losing more Cyclones from a victory point than I do winning from a losing point.
I 100% agree. I would want them to just take them out, but to me, it doesn't seem like they should reward every class that has a radar and nerf every class that it benefits from being the playstyle that World of Warships created, which is farming. So as soon as you go into a game in a French cruiser, Royal Navy battleship, Russian destroyer, gunboat style, you are at an immediate disadvantage to literally everything else. And if you don't have torps, you are also at a disadvantage. And if you are at a radar ship, or you are with torps, you have an advantage. And if you have radar, you're an advantage. So I don't feel like it's a thing that, I mean, to me, radar should be, the Cyclone should be the range of the longest radar. That's how it should be.
For 12K only. Like
12K,
like
yeah, that's what it should
the
be.
thunderstorm that rolls around the map.
Or have it be 10K. That's the, I mean, or just have it be 12K because they just balance it up. So, I mean, if you're within that range, at least you know you're spotted. It doesn't make any sense to me that you can get radared in this game. Now, before somebody goes, well, historically, they could have done that. This is an arcade game, so it's complete bullshit to get
tend
radared.
to steer away from the from the historical accuracies because this thing is a game, and yes, they can have based in history, based on actual events, but the names have been changed, but the problems are still real. So there you go.
Yeah. I can't stand Cyclones, so
I don't like them either. I think they're although there was one mechanic on there that I thought that they could have implemented in another place was the smoke mechanic. They could have implemented the cyclone vision. This guy at 8 kilometers can see me, but the guy at 8.1 can't. He has to come in to get that. So that guy at 18 kilometers doesn't get rewarded for me doing all the work. I would have liked to have seen. I would have liked to see that come into play. But
I do like the Stormfronts much more than Cyclones. Though Stormfronts can be annoying at times, but I like that a tad more than the Cyclones.
Here we go. Mr. Erickson says, Digital Justice is telling Mr. Erickson, I don't know why I'm commenting on this conversation here, I think they really need Russian battleships to boost WoWs in Russia, where warships are not nearly as popular as World of Tanks is, but both historically and in the wargaming titles. I think this Tanks is just bigger all around the world. It's been around longer.
Oh yeah,
it's a little easier to be accessible.
When I was in Russia, I was talking to some of the guys, and Tanks over there is considered a gaming anomaly. They just have they have no idea why it's so popular. So do I think they really do they really care about bumping up the population there? No, because per player, if they get one person from North America or one person from EU, I think North America has the highest per player earnings. I think EU is like second. I think Russia is one of the lowest. Do they want to get? I feel like they just want to get a battleship line that is unique and they can kind of make it up as they go because they don't really need to go off too much. Because when they make a bunch of paper ships, they don't really need to follow any historical realism. So they can really have a blank canvas to make a unique play style. So it's probably easier for them. But do I feel like they're trying to buff up the player base? I feel like the player base is big because it's a free-to-play game and it's Russian. So I feel like it's probably pretty popular anyways.
I've never played Tanks, so I have no base. I have no base for comparison. Well, I played two games of Tanks, and I was like, okay, uninstall.
It's like a religion over there, man. It's insane how popular Tanks is.
All right, so Viking says, I've been quite successful with the German line in the battles. I'm just talking about German battleships. I think power creep has hit these guys really, really hard, the German battleships. I'm not a fan of the German battleships. They just don't fit my style of gameplay, which is counterintuitive because I do like to make pushes when I have to make pushes, but I also like to sit back and snipe if I have to, based on situations, turn around and kite it out. You're not going to get that in Germans unless you're at 12 kilometers and you're, slinging your secondaries. That's about the only way you're going to get kiting done.
I mean, anytime you say something's been power creeped or something is weak, someone comes up and says they've had good success in that ship. So, I mean, no matter what you say, when you say it, someone like that is always going to be like, well, I enjoy the line. Well, that's good. That's good. You enjoy playing this ship, but I enjoy playing German battleships too. But that line has been super power crept because it's a whole identity was a tanky secondary build. And now you're getting the French line is arguably just as good as secondary wise. And now you have a line that's basically tankier than you and will kind of dunk on you if it gets close range. So it's not so much that you can't enjoy the line, it's just that you're starting to see that line had an identity, and that identity is getting kind of blurred and kind of lost over time with more and more stuff because there's only so many things they can do in this game to make ships different and unique. There's only so many things they can come up with before they get into some kind of fantasy world, which they tippy toe in every once in a while, especially with everything Russian. So,
Do you think this is the reason why we haven't seen anything, just a little smattering of Italian stuff here? Because they had pretty big ass navy from the beginning as well.
Yeah, that's always the one that like people talk about the most. It's just like why haven't we seen Italian? Why is Russian coming before Italian? Like apparently there's a lot of Italian destroyers, a lot of Italian cruisers and battleships. I mean, it's going to eventually come. There's a lot of stuff that they can put in, but I feel like with certain I feel like it's very tough for them to make a lot of historical stuff, because a lot of historical stuff was pretty comparable. A lot of the same stuff. So coming from a gaming aspect, it seems like it would be much more fun and probably more unique to make something that they're kind of going off paper, that they can kind of just make up as they go to make a unique thing. Somebody said can't get the blueprints. I don't know about that. I don't know what the problem is if they can't or whatnot. I think that was a problem with the Royal Navy line for
UK
a while.
Line, they couldn't get the blueprints forever.
Yeah. So I mean that could be the thing
thing
too, but there's probably so much information they could probably do something. But it seems like if they went all historical, you get a lot of similarities, and that probably isn't the best thing for the game. For an actual arcade game, historically is one thing, but I will see them at some point.
Which leads us into the next comment here. Mr. Erickson says, I have to assume part of it's like dealing with England. Italy was being a pain in the ass with allowing access to the records. Italy is a major naval power for both world wars, and the game is set in. It blows my mind that we have a few premiums, and that's it. So there you go. The next question comes from a Disciple. It says, what does Mejash think about the Tier 6 Julius Caesar?
Like, what's my opinion on, so what's my opinion on the ship, or what's my opinion on the situation? I guess those are two different questions.
I can only, we'll just tackle what's your opinion on the Tier 6 part first.
I think the ship needs probably a little bit more range. You're talking about balancing just the Tier 6?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it needs probably a little bit more range. I think it's fairly close. Like, it's a strong ship still. But I think it's fairly close to being balanced if they want to go that route. I guess we'll see what that whole thing is. It's the ship is pretty close to being balanced. I think maybe give it a little bit more life, give it a little bit more range, and you're probably decent on a ship. Maybe a spotter plane. Everything else has a spotter plane basically besides it.
Pretty much. I think there's some scuttlebutts out there, some rumors saying that the average damage of the Tier 6 in testing is comparable to everything else at Tier 6. And either comparable or a little bit more.
Well, I mean, it's just, you gotta look at, that's to be expected. Just look at who's playing it. Yeah.
All right. So let's rock down to the next question. It says, Ramsa says, it doesn't look like a downside to the games that I have seen. I'm not sure what he's referring to, as I did not write that down, so that's on me. Okay. Taking battle with a large broadside, a fast turret traverse sounds like the Roma Italian gimmick. We're talking about the Russian battleships, Vladivostok.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of have it, but they're both tanky bowing ships, but the Russian is Italian always has dog shit dispersion. Russians is a cruiser level within 12 kilometers. So I guess more consistently throughout for probably the Italian line, and the assured accuracy is within a certain range for the Russia line. So same but different, I guess. In that situation, also you have limited repairs and the radar, so kind of sets it apart.
There you go. Any idea for helping CV with balancing? When a CV lower tier match, they resupply planes 15 to 20% faster. When they are a mid tier, 10 to 15%, and when they are top tier, they regen normally. This would help with the lower CVs getting their planes shredded and not being able to contribute to the matches.
So, the thing about balancing CVs is I think that one of the problems is they went with the even ones, and I think that's the biggest problem. I don't think we'd have as much balancing issues if we had the odd CVs. I hope that someday they bring them back. I don't know if they've ever talked about that. To me, it seems like it'd be much easier to balance the game around having odd ones as well. But you're always going to have a push and pull of what's going on. Now, is the CV at bottom tier and higher tier? What metric are you balancing that off of? I mean, if you're in a tier 6 and you're going against tier 8s, you're also going against tier 6 planes. So how does the game know which tier to balance it off of? Because there's so many other ships. So because a tier 6 CV against going to some tier 8s, you can still drop on tier 6s. So is that fair for that tier 6 if you just pick on that consistently? I feel like it's a good idea on paper, but in reality, it's kind of, I would say, impossible. But balancing tiers, I think with they're only ever having tier 8 ships, or even ships, sorry, I feel like it's going to be an extremely hard thing to balance. And I feel like the best way they should do it is bring back even or odd tiers as well.
Now I know with the removal of odd tiers, they open up a whole another CV line. I mean, they could just do here's another tier 4, here's another tier 6, here's another tier 8, here's another tier 10. Do you think that that's more capable? That you think that that's more of I wouldn't say capable. Do you think that would be more an idea that they would do instead of pulling back in 5s and 7s and 9s?
I mean, you don't ever. I mean, if they make another set of even tiers, I mean, it doesn't really fix the balancing issue that I think they'll never be able to win.
As opposed to balancing, that's not what I was getting at. I was getting at more of a, do you think that would be more prevalent than them bringing back the 5s and 7s?
I mean, I feel like if it's a new line, I mean, sure, you bring back an entire line, right? Because you increase that amount of XP that you need to go through, so you basically double it with the same amount of ships. But I feel like the core of that question is balancing ships around being bottom tier, high tier, and bottom tier, top tier, or same tier. That's very, very tough to do when there's only even ships. I feel like it's extremely hard to do. So I don't know. It's a really, really tough situation. I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't think what we see is finalized, and I don't want to be the guy that has to make the decision. But it seems extremely tough to do with even only CVs.
I think a lot of the things that has to do with people getting their planes shredded is the approach that they're taking to some of these boats. Now, I've taken the tier 6 and I've dropped on Atlantis from coming from 5 kilometers away and get your plane shredded on the way in. You come up over islands and then you do a little bit better because the up and down AA isn't as consistent as the coming straight forward. Very predictable when you're coming in from 6 kilometers away. So a lot of plane shredding could be on nothing but the way people are playing. Do you think that this is a thing, or do you think that it's a little bit?
I think it's 100% a thing, but I think it's 90% of most of the situations. Now, is an independent or is a Shokaku ever going to be able to consistently drop on a fully AA spec Minotaur?
No.
No. I mean, a fully that's what comes up a lot is the bottom tier CVs. A bottom tier CV against a top tier AA ship. That's the biggest thing. That CV can't do anything against that. Well, that's how it happens. That's what you have been countered. That ship has taken captain skills, flags, modules to counter what you are. Everything in this game has a counter. So CVs have a risk and reward of they are never putting themselves in risk of ever taking damage, but they basically have unlimited ammo. So that's the part that is tough to kind of have a conversation about, because people will say, well, if it's a bunch of high tier ships, I can't do anything. Well, should you really be able to? You know, you're not risking anything. But I mean, that tends to be, it's always the I can't drop on this thing. The argument comes to be I can't drop on anything that is top tier, but you never really hear anything about going, man, it's really easy for me to drop on something that's bottom tier. You never hear that, because a tier 8 CV versus a tier 6 ship, that's fine, right? Because he's 2 tiers lower than you. But if something's shredding your planes at 2 tiers higher than you, then that's something we need to talk about. I feel like it's weird to give CVs this whole pass to matchmaking affecting it. It's a tough conversation to have. Again, there's a lot that'll change before the CVs are finalized, and I feel like the even tiers is really a tough case to crack when it comes to it.
I tend to agree with most of that. You said something that I was going to bring up, is that should that tier 8 be able to drop on that tier 10 consistently? Now you could still, I've still dropped on Minotaurs, and I've done pretty well in boats with the Grab Zeppelin is higher health hit point planes, but I've still made the drops, and I've still made the drops, losing most of my planes on the way into that drop, but I still made the drop and got damage, as opposed to now, are you going to want to risk that? Not really. I'm going to risk it. I'm going to risk it for the biscuit on something that's a little bit more my style. And I've dropped on tier 10s that have worse AA than a Minotaur, but you can't just take away the flavor of that Minotaur just because a tier 8 boat can't make drops.
It's a conversation we can talk about for a long time, but there's a lot that's going to change before it gets finalized, so it doesn't really help anything.
True. Skinny Knight says, do you like the current battleship AP versus destroyers? There was a guy at the USS Texas who had some strong opinions about it, but as a battleship main, I never had an issue with the changes. My personal, I didn't really see the point of it to begin with. As under 10 kilometers, fine. We will need to be punishing those DDs. Over 10 kilometers, we can talk, because that's unfair. It's unfair for that DD over 10 kilometers. Now, under 10 kilometers, there's a lot of risk for that battleship when he's sitting there doing what he's supposed to do, sniping mid-range or whatever, long range, and a guy shows up at 10 kilometers or gets hit by a radar and he comes charging at you. I feel that AP should be absolutely able to, because he has the ability to drop 8, 10, 15 torpedoes on some of these boats and really dominate and devastate this guy. Right. Fair enough. Now, the bottom line is they made the change, so I really can't complain about it anymore, other than the fact that it still kind of gets on my nerves. Fine. Has it changed the way I have played? No. Do I still sling the AP? Yes. I went from slinging 90% AP to about 75% AP, and then I tend to swap more to HE now. I take expert loader and I load that things up with people like George Doe. 10, 15 seconds. I mean, it's 7 seconds, I believe, on the Montana with John or George Doe on the swap. Has it really made a big difference? Not really. What do you think?
No, it did suck getting basically one shot by battleships. That did suck, and I felt like that was a tad too much. But we're starting to see some other things that potentially could come into the game where battleships get an improved accuracy within certain ranges. We're seeing that with the Russian ships now. But am I okay with the change? I mean, sure. I don't like that it promoted battleships. I hate Battleship HE. It does have situations. I don't like that it kind of promotes Battleship HE as being like a viable ammo. I really don't like that. I don't like that ever being a thing. So it kind of did that because you want that for sure pen values and stuff like that. But I mean, it's been all right. But we've all been in situations where it's like, okay, well, the most I can do to this destroyer is 7, 8, 9K or whatever, 10K, depending on the ship. Does kind of suck, but I felt like you can still punish DDs, but you're definitely not going to get the one shot. So all in all, am I okay with it? Yeah, I'm all right with it. Does it suck in certain situations? Yeah, but when you're playing a DD, it also is nice to not get one tapped anymore. So I see both sides of it.
I also see both sides of it. I also want to dip into that HE conversation real quick, just for a little second here. The problem that with HE that I see is fine, it does a lot of damage, but how many times have you hit 6 and 7 shells for no damage, and all you've done is obliterate the half of their boat? Now
you broke their AA or something.
You broke their AA guns. You broke their motor. They hit the repair button. Now you got to wait 30 seconds, and they've got no damage. They didn't get punished for it. So I totally agree that Battleship HE is not a thing that I want to sling very often, and I wish that they hadn't have promoted that. But in the end, when you add some more RNG to something that is already susceptible to high amounts of RNG via dispersion, via any number of RNG factors with the AP alone, now you adding that extra layer of RNG, I think I think it hurt. I think it hurt more than it actually helped. So I know. I was talking with Kami about this on the Battleship Texas, and he said he never stopped. He still 90% up with that AP moment because it's guaranteed damage, and that's another thing that you want in the Battleship is the consistency. So
I tend to just stick with AP. It's just easier.
Yeah. All right, two more questions here, and then we'll get out of here. How do you feel about the toxicity level in WoWs? Do you think? It's a kind of an open question. Let me see if I can narrow it down here for you. Do you think that the toxicity level now, because of the CV change, is any different than it was before, or do you think that those people are just more vocal now?
Well, I mean, the majority of the toxicity is from. It's a PvP game. Every PvP game has toxicity. I mean, it's not like it's a new thing. Go play League of Legends. Go play. I mean, go play any team-based PvP. We're gonna play with random people. It's not like there's any place that's this random sainthood, So World of Warships. I mean, the toxicity is on Reddit and forums. So who gives a fuck? Is it more or less in the game? I don't really see it. And the most toxic area that I have seen in the latest. Since the rework was in ranked battles and there weren't any CVs there. So what does that say? I don't know. People are mad. The game is different, but has the toxicity gotten any higher or lower? It's expected. It's a PvP game. I don't feel like toxicity has really gone up or down anything. It's an online PvP game. People are gonna be mad at everything.
People are gonna get mad and buttered about everything. Yeah. I tend to agree. I have seen my own personal. I mean, I can talk about my own personal toxicity level has gone way down. Over the past year and a half. That's different mentalities, different things that I've accepted. So I can only talk to my own. As for the community, you take it with a grain of salt and a mound of salt, if you will. But for the most part, people are just upset when they're losing and they think something's broken.
Everyone remembers the guy or girl that's salty. They don't remember the guy or girl that says, "Hey, GG, you did well. Nice torps, good shot." That kind of thing. So it's people only want to remember what they hear. So I mean, there's still a lot. I mean, people say the World of Warships community is super toxic. I mean, compared to other games, we're nowhere near a lot of stuff.
compared to League of Legends back when I was playing that thing. So check this out. I hate getting that GG every once in a while, man. If I messed up and I played stupid, and somebody's like GG, and I'm like, fuck you. This guy's trying,
Fuck you, man.
That's right, bro. I get upset at that guy's telling me good game. I'm like, no, wasn't I played like shit? Fuck off, man. And might have reported a guy or two for saying GG. Yeah, it's stupid. But
toxic streamer,
streamer, bro. But that was ages ago. But either way, Mystical Ages says, serious question about Russian battleships. Do you guys think that they suffer from power creep? No, because they're new and they haven't had a time to creep out. Number one. Number two, I think that these are creeping. These are further creeping out the German battleships because being better at doing what they do, other than the secondaries being relatively short at 5 kilometers. As for the rest of them, it's not going to touch the American battleships. They're still going to do what they do. The Yamatos is still going to sit there and do what they do. The French are going to do what they do. They're just different, and I think that this is more of the German style gameplay that people wanted in Russian form, basically.
Yeah, I don't think they're getting power creep because they're not finalized. So they have a unique play style. I think like you said is correct. They are pushing the continued power creep of the extinction of German battleships, and I think everything else is still pretty unique. I think what the German battleship line does and has done, I think, has continued to get less and less strong. I think the survivability or the secondary builds is basically a dead build.
Which is good because I've hated them. I thought. The Massachusetts, for as much people love the Massachusetts, I think it's just a troll, and I don't take that game seriously when I play it.
I think the Massachusetts does like what the Bismarck does, but better, right?
Right.
So it's
Because it actually
you
has
have
some guns that you can hit if you can keep them alive. I lose more turrets in that damn boat. But anyway, that's
yeah.
beside. All right, so that brings us to our last little thing here. That's something
Last one.
something that I wanted to throw in here. What do you think that they can do to make the Germans not be power crept? What do you think they could bring them back into prominence?
I mean, the thing they need to do is just have their secondaries. Just that's their thing, right? Their thing is secondaries. So maybe secondaries and the ability to not take citadels. So maybe increase their armor so they just take less raw alpha damage. So that increases their survivability. That could be something. So like their superstructure upper armor belt is potentially thicker, so they just take less damage overall. Make them this kind of inaccurate secondary fortress. That would be something. I wouldn't want to say, but maybe increase their secondary range. There's no reason that the French battleship should have as good a secondary range as them. If I think some of the French ones are even farther.
12. I think the Republic is 12 something.
Yeah. So they need to do something. They're supposed to be the brawling battleship line, and they're not even really good.
The secondaries are better on the Massachusetts than the Bismarck. The secondaries on the Republic's better than the GK. The brawling side now with the Kreml coming in there, it can bow tank better than the Germans can. The Germans have a little bit advantage on the broadside, but are you really going to show broadside? I know. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go. No, I was gonna say, what if you give them like built-in like fire prevention?
You know what? There's something. Fire prevention's a hot topic here because I think fire prevention at 4 points is worthless. I think if they want to make fire prevention better, they need to lower it down to 3 points or make that actual percentage of fire resistance better. Because at 4 points, I'm still on fire all the time. Even if it is only on 3 slots, I'm still on fire all the time. So if you give it built-in fire prevention, that opens up 4 more points for you to go ahead and take that IFAT and really dominate on those secondaries. I know IFAT on the Massachusetts is ridiculous. Absolutely, light cruisers and destroyers get slaughtered by this thing. You still do a hell of a lot of damage. You still set a lot of fires in the Massachusetts, and the French boats I think are better at setting fires than the Germans are. So I mean, any time that you can get more damage out of there, I'm all for it, I guess.
Yep. They got to do something though. There's just less and less of a reason to play the actual line. So. Pretty much.
I still think the lower tiers are still good for tier 5 and 5 and under. 3, 4, 5, 6. They're probably some of the most easiest accessible to new players because they're kind of tough. I mean, it's pretty hard to kill those things at the lower tiers, especially when you're something like the Texas or the New York that's suspect accuracy at times. I still think that they're really good at the lower tiers, but they start to dip off in their validity as tier 7 and above, to where they're just really just everything else at that tier is just do it better.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? They just keep releasing things that do the same thing that they do better. So it just is. It is what it is. It was bad.
And there it is, boys. That is episode 19 of the Cross Your Bow is now in the books. Mejash, I want to thank you. Extend my very appreciation and gracious. Is that the word? Whatever. Fuck it. I'm going with it. Gracious time to spend here on the channel with us. We've gone a little bit over time to what I had planned, but thank you very much for sticking around, man. I do appreciate it.
It's all good, dude.
I do appreciate you guys.
Slept almost the entire time, brother. He was up for a little bit, and then passed right out.
Heard him snore a couple of times, but it wasn't enough to. So last thing here, where the hell did Coconut Song come from?
Coconut Song was requested by a sub. He used to troll me, so it used to be whenever the follower goal was reached, like we'd play it, right? Because I hated it, but all right, we got like a. We achieved something as a stream, so you used to do it. So
here's your reward.
It just became the meme of the stream, man, and then I don't know, it just evolved into the goal, and now you almost embrace it, and so it just It's just the song of the people. It's the Coco Crew, my dude. So
Coco Crew, there you go. Guys, you can find Mejash over on his channel at twitch.tv/Mejash. It's Mejash. You guys can go check him out if you guys want to see Winston as well. I'm sure he posted a lot of stuff on his Twitter at Mejash TV. You guys can hit him up there. And I encourage you guys to. He's a fantastic dude, fantastic player. Excellent streamer, probably for the night crew, probably the top of the charts on the night crew here from the NA. You guys, I am SirVenomIK. Thank you very much for joining us. You guys can hit me up here at twitch.tv/SirVenomIK or at Sir_Venom_IK over on the Twitter. If you guys are over on YouTube, you guys can leave comments section below anything that we talked about. I'll leave links in the description as well. And if you have any questions, please leave them in that section as well. If you guys want to have an active conversation, come hit me up on the Twitch channel, and we can talk about anything that you guys would like to. I love you guys. Thank you very much for myself and for me, Jess. Thank you very much for watching episode 19. We're out of here, boys.